it's been 2 years since we recorded this podcast, and
Wait, have we started?
Yes, we've started.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
When's the intro music play?
the intro music is added in post.
Can you play it live?
Wait, what?
Yeah, if I'll pull up the podcast and I can play it live for you.
No, just do
Yeah.
acapella.
Well, it's literally just us talking with like some like interesting robotic beats in the background.
It's been 2 years, so I really can't remember. I appreciate the
Wait, have we
refresher.
started yet?
Yes.
What season is this? 12?
This is out of season. We just kind of throw an episode up whenever we feel like making something like
That doesn't sound sustainable.
It's actually season 4, part 3.
oh, season
section
4, part
A.
3, part
Final season, part 1, episode 1.
This is the OVA.
On today's episode, we've got a long one for you folks. Hajime Isayama's Attack on Titan.
Now, like I said, last time we recorded an episode was about 2 years ago, in the spring of 2022, and we said on like several episodes, hopeful that one day Attack on Titan would finish airing. We said, oh yeah, we'll do an Attack on Titan episode, and then on our finale, we even said, we're not going to record another season, but when Attack on Titan finishes, we'll record an episode for Attack on Titan. And little did we know that that would take forever. I mean, I guess some of y'all might have expected it. I just couldn't believe how long it took, obviously, to finish that anime.
Wait, you didn't expect them to take 3 breaks in between every season?
I
so
couldn't
insane.
believe
In
it took
between
about
every
a
part
decade
of the
between
season.
season 1 and season 2. Think of all the
It's so
stuff you
nuts,
did
dude.
in your life between season 1 and season 2. We all graduated university.
Yeah.
What else did we do? Some people got graduate degrees.
Matt, are you okay? You got a cold or something?
You had kids.
No, we
you
all
got
graduated
married.
university.
What other shit happened between then and now?
Matt, you and I moved to California and
Yeah,
back.
we moved to California and back, and still season 2 had not been released.
It's pretty wild.
Okay, actually, here's the order. Gilmore Girls, Avatar The Last Airbender is second. Inuyasha's third. Harry Potter, Naruto has been getting listens lately. I don't know why.
That makes
The
sense, though.
Office,
Oh.
Full Metal Alchemist
Full
Brotherhood.
Metal Alchemist.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Cowboy Bebop, which is the Watanabe. Cowboy Bebop and Samurai Champloo is the Watanabe one. And then Futurama. That's the top 10.
Okay.
Wow.
Weirdly enough, I was only a part of like maybe 7 of those.
Let's just go 5 more down real quick.
I looked at The Boys has 30 less listens than number 10 spot, which is
You know why? You know why
Futurama.
it is? It's because nobody wants to be fucking depressed, okay? You
Yeah,
keep
The
bringing
Boys.
me back for these sad...
Oh yeah,
Like,
the boys
episodes.
and Watchmen.
I would disagree. I do think people want to be depressed.
Oh yeah, Angela,
mean,
you're
yeah. Obviously, I do.
psych.
As a
Yeah,
therapist,
tell us more
yeah.
about that.
I mean,
Angela's a therapist, Matt.
yeah. She needs to be a part of... Like, we did The Boys, we did The Watchmen, and now we're doing Attack on Titan.
yeah,
That's
all,
true. You're on all the.
all
but
very,
Attack on Titan is
very
popular.
violent, depressing.
Very traumatic.
People are just gonna think I'm some, like, sad guy and, like, love watching
Aw.
these
That's
depressing
not an
shows.
aw.
I don't like them. I don't enjoy them.
Well,
I didn't
you're
even
not
want to
picking-
finish this show. I was forced
That's
into
true.
it.
You didn't.
Honestly, I feel like we were all sort of forced into finishing this show. Who sought this out of their own accord? It wasn't me.
I mean, I watched
I
it.
enjoyed
I was
it.
held at gunpoint to finish the show.
Well,
It took me
So-
3 weeks to finish the last episode of this show.
oh my
I'm
God.
not joking.
He's not joking because
This
I
bodes
kept
well.
asking him about it.
Oh my god. Okay. So we haven't done this podcast in a while, but here's what we do. We introduce our guests first. So me, Matt, Bran, we're all here. But we've also got some all-stars from the podcast. Angela Bassett, she's back for
Wait a
this is
second.
your
Yep.
this is your 4th or 5th episode.
This is my 4th.
All right. And then my brother, who is established in an earlier episode, is Sexy Matt. Because we have 2 Matts. So we have to delineate them somehow.
Yeah, sexy and sexier.
I prefer to be lineated.
Okay, my bad. And then after we've introduced everyone, we now we'll introduce the characters we're choosing. I suggest we try to keep it brief because we got a lot to talk about.
There's a lot.
And there's a lot of us. So, unfortunately, even though the podcast was conceived because Matt and Brandon told me that all main characters suck, I am choosing Eren Yeager because I think, it does suck because main characters do obviously get a ton of plot and a ton of focus by the writers, just the nature of being a main character. But I think that this one was done the right way, and I think that he's a good character because of that, and I'm going to argue for it.
You say it was done the right
All
way?
right, whoever else wants to go. Oh, God, yes.
That too.
Exactly. All right, who wants Tojo next?
I mean, I'm also arguing for a main character, Armin. Not as main as Eren, but
Yeah.
definitely one of like the big three of the show. There since the beginning.
True.
Probably like every episode aside from maybe a couple flashback ones. So he's pretty main.
All right.
That's me keeping it short.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
I'll go last.
I knew it.
Damn it.
Okay, I'll be arguing for Reiner because I think
Reiner.
while not one of the most main characters, I think he's very essential for sort of seeing the perspective of the other side of the conflict.
Yeah, 100%.
Sexier Matt has already declined to go, so.
Yeah. So I'm also gonna pick a main character here.
Mm-hmm. Mikasa.
Demo Reeves.
Demo Reeves.
Okay, this dude.
Remind me.
So
What are you
come again?
What are you talking about? Y'all don't know Demo Reeves of the Reeves Company?
Okay, yes, I do remember now. Demo.
Matt
Reeves.
brought this up
Yeah,
last night to
I
me,
do
and
now.
I legitimately forgot who it was.
He was the guy who fed the people
Yeah.
and
Was he
died
the
for
son
it.
or the...
He's the
Okay.
father.
I don't know which one is which.
Even less
father.
important.
I would.
He dies. He gets
Um,
assassinated.
This is tough because when you told me that we were gonna do this podcast, I immediately thought of Armin, because it's probably my
As you
favorite
should.
character. Yeah.
Understandable.
But I also thought of this guy, Erwin,
Yes.
who, I mean, he's just a badass dude.
He's Commander Irwin. Is that his title?
I think
Mhm.
Commander Erwin.
Yeah.
Or Captain.
He's commander.
No, he's
yeah.
commander.
Commander of the
The Scouts.
Scout Regiment.
The survey.
Hold on now. How you did your research, right? Come on now.
Yeah, no, just my memory is terrible. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go for Erwin, even though I hear that nobody's going for Levi. So it was a toss up between those two.
Yeah, I think I got Levi on my honorable mention list eventually.
Are we just going to do honorable mentions
Yeah,
now,
bitch.
or...
No. It's your turn to tell us your
So
character.
here's the problem.
I knew it. I knew
Well,
it.
Here's the thing is, I have watched the series most recently. I imagine, right? Because I had to I had to watch season 2 through the final season in a span of like 4 days.
I've-
Let's get ready
Yeah,
for this
I finished it in
podcast.
December, but
But
go
the
ahead.
problem is, I don't really like any of these characters.
Good.
I'm an equal opportunity hater, so I'm willing to be convinced that any of these characters are a good character. You feel me? Also, another thing, unrelated to the quality of these characters, in this show, I'm pretty sure like at least 50% of the audio is just like children screaming. You know what I'm saying? Like disgruntled screaming, like angry
Yeah.
screaming, screaming in desperation. There's a lot of screaming in
Mm-hmm.
still frames. They saved a lot of budget on still frames with children
They
screaming.
do definitely.
They did.
They do start using the still frames a lot for sure.
Yeah, season 1, I'm convinced that at least 70% of the show is still frames with a little bit of dialogue and then mostly screaming. And then as they progress, like towards the end, there's also again a lot of still frames with people screaming.
So you're arguing for kids screaming and still
Yes.
frames.
I think they're the
That's the
predominant
that's-
character in this show.
That is the main character. You're
yeah.
right.
Because I was thinking about it, I'm like, man, none of these characters are really that cool, to be honest. They all kind of suck.
Oh shit.
I mean,
oh shit. Well, yes, as people, but not as
I
Yeah, are
think
you
even as
saying
characters,
are you
they're-
saying they're unlikable or they're like just poor characters?
both
There's
one-dimensional,
a lot of them- I think there's a
unlikable.
lot that are not.
Really?
I
I
think there's a lot that are
remain
well done.
unconvinced, and like I said, I've seen it most recently, and it's the most fresh on my mind. So therefore, my opinion is most valid.
I tried to make that argument on Stranger Things. I said, "Oh, I watched it most recently," and y'all shit on me for making.
Yeah,
it.
it was completely irrelevant.
Well, the problem is it was so long ago I don't remember that. So
But it's because
this is happening
you were
Yeah,
arguing
I-
for Mike.
No, I don't think I argued for Mike. I argued for 11, but I said Mike doesn't suck as bad as y'all say he
Right, you were
sucks. Yeah.
defending Mike.
I was defending Mike. Yeah.
A Mike apologist.
A Mike
there's going to be a
apologist,
lot of
exactly.
apologists in
Imagine.
this podcast.
All right. Well, no, I think we should say maybe some stuff about the show in general and about our characters and why our characters are good, and then we can hit the honorable mentions later. Why don't we talk about this first? This is a controversial anime because there's people who have mixed feelings about the ending. I personally like it. Do you want to go around and say how we all feel about it?
I don't know. That's pretty mid in my opinion.
Oh my God, man.
Well, I don't think a lot of
He
characters
did watch
get a
it
lot
most
of
recently,
good.
so it
I
is
mean, there's just
valid.
not a lot of good conclusions out there.
The controversy is around Eren committing genocide and allowing his friends to stop him so that it posits them as heroes so that they could live on. But then it ends with many, 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 many years in the future, their city getting bombed to nothing.
Yeah,
And-
it's almost like war is inevitable and
Exactly.
you can't stop it.
And some people like that, and some people think that sucks because it means that all of the efforts of the show were wasted.
Nah, dude, fuck that shit.
So that's the debate. That's the controversy.
That's like classic Gundam Wing, dude. You do all this fighting, and all the kids do all this fighting, and then you get a little bit of peace, and then there's just more fighting.
Fighting,
I don't have a problem with
fighting
that.
will never result in peace.
Wasn't that the plot of the first Wonder Woman movie?
I think so.
Yes,
Yeah.
but I
think
would
so.
say, well,
But in that, it was the literal god of war. causing
Correct.
War.
he was actually
Yeah,
causing
but even
war.
taking him out though.
That's
Not
true.
gonna end war.
Nah.
People are gonna fight. But I mean, what I will say is I didn't like the ending when it first came out in the manga.
In the manga, yeah.
Is it different?
They took some stuff out.
They explain
of
it a little
in the
more
anime.
in the anime.
Yeah. And in the manga, what came later, in the ending credits of the anime, it shows you like John's describing like years in the future what
Yeah.
happens. That didn't initially come out when the manga ended. That came out
That
a
was
bit
like
later.
an epilogue that came out later.
Yeah, and I think that helped.
It did.
Did it?
And
It helped
in my
clarify
opinion,
the
it
message
did.
of the manga.
Yeah, and the manga also had some stuff that I didn't like, and the anime like took it out, which I appreciated. Like I think,
Like what kind of
if
stuff?
I remember correctly, there's a part in the ending of the manga where Armin literally says, "Eren, thank you for becoming a genocidal maniac to save us," or something like
the
that.
way that the manga ended almost seemed like it was condoning his actions. a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah,
Um,
and so he did not say that in the anime. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
We're against that.
I mean, it was a silly line. I don't.
Thank you, Aaron Yeager.
Well, there's also another controversy we should mention, which is people accuse the manga of being like pro imperialism and stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, I think. Well, they accuse it of
Really?
being
Is that the
pro-imperialism.
message?
They accuse it of being pro-militarism because
Yeah.
they're saying that the island is an allegory for Japan, and Japan has had its power taken away by the world, just like the island of Parody had its power taken away by the rest of the world. And it's like some people think that it's arguing for militarizing again and going back on the offensive and not apologizing for, but basically like whitewashing Japanese like imperialist past.
Oh, I see.
But I think that with the ending being as it is, I think that the show is showing that it's
Yeah.
actually very critical of all those things.
Plus, it's
Yeah.
way closer to Israel v. Palestine than it is Japan versus world.
You think? Yeah.
I mean, right?
It's-
Isn't it?
I mean, it is
Well, 'cause-
because it's like an occupation kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, Marley seems like Nazi Germany.
Or
is
yeah, you
turning,
could do that too.
Like, yeah, that's how I kind
But-
of felt about it.
But a lot of I was reading that a lot of Japanese writers who want to kind of talk about Japan's post World War II situation will use like, or even their like what they were doing during World War II and before it, like their imperialism stuff, will oftentimes write about like Germany or other places to kind of make the like symbolic like connection, because it's too close to home to like talk about their own stuff.
Because
It's too
the Axis
controversial.
is alive and well in 2024, is what
Yep.
I'm hearing.
But yeah, I heard that there
But-
are some people who take this manga or this anime to be like they liked Aaron's genocide and they wanted
Wait, they
it
liked
to
it
be
or they
successful.
understood it?
They understood
rooted
it
for
and
him.
they thought it was the right decision and they
Oh,
rooted
yeah.
for him as
Well,
the main
a
character.
lot
You
of
can
people
think it's
did.
the right
Yeah.
decision and still not like it.
We talked about like problematic characters recently, John, about how, you know, people who are pro Aaron are also the ones that like, you know, Patrick Bateman or the guy from Fight Club.
Yeah, you're not supposed.
These are like, these are
Yeah.
supposed to be bad examples, but
Yeah.
weird dudes latch on to these characters and love them.
Oh, we're talking about like people who like
well,
the Joker.
Yeah.
People who
Yes,
like the
exactly.
Joker.
Oh,
If
yeah.
you and actually, okay, so this is going to go into my argument for Aaron, which I don't want to get to quite yet, but I'll just give you the small piece of it now, which is I think that Aaron has done really well. He's done in the same way that like Walter White on Breaking Bad has done, where it's like at the beginning you can really understand and sympathize with him. And the author of this manga, I've listened to a lot of interviews with him and stuff, and studied kind of his process and things, and I think he's very thoughtful about what he's doing with this. And he said the entire idea for this manga was, I want to show a character who is a victim become a victimizer. I want to show how that works, like how that could happen. And so he's doing kind of like the Breaking Bad thing of like, I'm going to start you off in a place where you connect with this character and love them and root for them. And I'm going to see how far will you stick with this character. And at a certain point, you shouldn't stick with this character anymore because
Yeah.
they're going to cross the line.
And
I never
some
stopped
people
rooting for
some
Aaron.
people failed that test.
Some people failed that test, yeah. Matt, what did you? Because you had some issues with the ending, I think, or maybe you just wish that it had
Yeah,
been
bro,
different.
I forgot how different we watch shows.
Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm like, bro, I watch anime to get away from like depressing endings, and then this one was just
That
like,
I get,
okay,
that I
yeah,
get.
this shit is depressing still. Like,
I
And-
see.
and-
You just didn't want to be depressed in the end.
no, I wanted something happy to happen at the
You
end.
came to the
and
wrong
I don't
to
think
the
it
wrong
happened.
manga.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
at no point did this anime have positivity.
No, there was moments, but yeah, and it was like, and I think it was because I invested so much time into it as well. where
Oh,
it was just
yeah,
like,
God
God
damn.
damn,
A
bro,
decade
it's
of your
still
life,
just
at
depressing
least.
at the end. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So
No, Brand's right. There's not a moment.
Drunk.
I remember even when they got to the ocean, you kind of have this like hopefulness, this positivity. Like
Yeah.
Armin's like smiling and then looks at Aaron, and Aaron's like,
Yep.
"Do you think if we kill everybody on
Yeah.
the other side, we'll be happy?"
That was
or
the start.
whatever?" And
That was the
Armin's
start
just
of the
like, "Damn."
genocidal thoughts.
But am I?
Yeah.
Is this also?
But also in the story's defense, going back to the controversy, I never felt like it was pro-militarism because as soon as Aaron starts down the violent path, his friends are opposed.
Yes.
And they
yes,
start
yes,
pl-
that's true.
Yeah.
And then you start following his friends more and in their plan to stop him. So
Yes.
Yeah, we really
Yeah, I
lose
don't-
track of him in the whole like final seasons.
yeah.
I think people get confused when a show like illustrates something. They often equate that with the show like validating
Yes.
and approving of it. But it's just, I mean, you can
Well-
represent a lot of things in art without saying this is a good
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Actually,
Yeah.
Oh, the main
what I
character
love-
wants to kill people, so killing people is good.
Yes.
Mm,
Well, what I love about it is, and I think that for this type of manga, for what he's trying to say about like the cycle of violence and all that stuff and militarism, and how he's trying, and, you know, from what you can see by the ending, he's trying to show that it doesn't pay off. It's not good. But I think
But
he
didn't it
really
pay
does
off, though?
believe. Well, and that's what I was gonna say too. To talk about giving some hope for the ending, Matt, like not being completely depressed in the end, because I did not feel depressed when it ended. I felt, I smiled. I was happy when it ended. I thought it was great. And here's why: because he's giving you a blueprint. He's making a statement about humanity, and it's hopeful because if enough people watch it and understand it, then we don't have to follow that blueprint. First of all, so hopefully he's taught people a lesson, which is like there are a group of people in Japan who want to, who like literally right now want to remove the article in their constitution that doesn't allow them to have an army, and they want to rebuild their army because they're afraid of China coming back for them to for the people in Japan. China is like Marleyans. Like they are afraid that the Chinese are going to get retribution for what they did to them during World War II and before it, and they want to remilitarize. And I hope that that people who watch this and understand it the right way will dissuade them of those ideas. You know
Tell me,
what I mean?
Attack
So
on Titan is a tool for teaching.
I think it is in the same way that like Maki.
Are you a
I-
You
teacher?
think
I
the people
understand
who need to
that-
hear this message would be receptive to a cartoon teaching them this message?
Yeah, in the same way that Machiavelli, he wrote The Prince, and The Prince was like, if you're a leader, you should be brutal and you should do all this stuff. But a lot of people have come to understand that like he wrote that and he sent it out to the public. He didn't send it to kings and princes. And so a lot of people have come to understand like, no, he was trying to show us what's going on in politics so that we understand it and then we can combat it. And I think that's what I need to.
So I
what's the
wonder
author's name?
if it hits way different over there than.
It definitely hits different for an East Asian audience. For instance,
Yeah.
a lot of South Koreans do not like this manga because Koreans also felt the wrath of the Japanese during World War II and before, and they were fine with it at first. But then the character Pixis is based off of a general who brutalized South Korea,
Yeah.
and they felt like him basing a character on that guy was like him honoring that guy, and so a lot of people in Korea were unhappy about that and started like boycotting Attack on Titan.
Well, I guess we better start changing some names. No, it's like
But the interesting thing about that dude, about Pixis being named after that guy, is he was one of the generals that like brutalized Korea. But then he also is known in like when you look at history books about him for coming back and being basically disgusted and embarrassed by his career, his military career. He leaves the military and he became a teacher, and he would often take students like on field trips to South Korea to teach them about like what the Japanese did and how it was wrong. So like that's a character that you actually would want to honor if you thought that militarism was wrong, because he's a guy who disavowed militarism and left the military and tried to repent as much as he could afterwards for his crimes, you know. So I don't
Interesting.
know. I think people misunderstand a lot of this anime.
But yeah, so it's pretty depressing at the end.
It is. Like, I agree with John that the message is good, but still, like, once it ends and you see that montage of just the constant war,
Yeah.
I was just sitting there for a second like, damn, that shit's bleak.
What
Yeah.
about the kid and her or his dog that find the tree at the end? What do you think about that?
I mean, what's that supposed to symbolize?
That
Yeah, I don't
also
think
just
anything
tells me
about
that tells me that the cycle is going to continue.
Yeah, that's
But
what I got from it.
here's the difference. In the beginning, Emir, the original Emir, right? She finds the tree as she's being attacked and mauled by dogs. She gets chased to the tree. And so when she discovers the tree, she is in a state of like horror and needing to defend herself and maybe even wanting to get revenge, right? The difference is the last scene is a girl being led by a dog to the tree and being happy and taking care of herself and surviving just fine. And so she's discovering a tree in a very different place in her humanity. So maybe she discovers this tree and becomes something more hopeful, something better. So I don't know.
Instead of becoming a war titan, she'll become like an agricultural titan.
Yeah,
You'll become like the farming titan, or the animal domestication titan.
What's that creature called that connected itself to Emir? That it really exists. It's based on an actual creature.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know what to call it. I just called it the
like a
centipede
blue
Yeah.
worm.
because
Little...
I didn't know.
It has a
Worm guy.
Yeah,
name.
yeah, blue worm.
It's based on a thing. Oh, it's called hallucigenia.
Oh,
If you
Do they
look
ever
it up,
mention the name in the show? I don't think so.
they don't. But there is a creature, a prehistoric creature called hallucigenia that it's based off of.
oh, that's cool.
And I don't know. To me, it's like, it has kind of a message of like, shit, I'm forgetting. Gurren Lagann, how it's like life continues pushing forward and it doesn't stop and it keeps trying and surviving every way that it can. You know.
Yeah, they touched on that a little
And-
bit too.
Yeah, and it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't want to give up even after it's like being attacked and killed and all this stuff. And
Which is the Attack Titan itself,
That's-
right?
yes.
Like just keeps moving forward.
Well, here's why I
But
think
also
the ending
backward?
kind of sucks.
Yeah, also backwards.
The ending sucks because it offers good resolution to the plot of the anime, but there's no good
Yeah.
resolution for any of the characters that you like. Everybody just gets fucked.
well, okay.
That's what it seems like. So like,
So Yeah, they make you care. They're like, oh, all these cool characters. Some of them even survive. But
And even when Aaron was like describing what was really going on the whole time, he was like, "Yeah, I actually couldn't do anything I truly wanted to do. I had to do these things to end up this way.
Right.
Like I do actually, I'm in love with Mikasa, but she'll never know that, and like so
Yeah.
I'll never be able to be with her. Or like that's so.
But
fucked,
what does
dude.
that tell you? That tells you that if you blindly follow revenge and feed into that cycle of violence that Eren fed into, then you will not get opportunities to love and to live a happy life and all those things. And you know, in my opinion, that's what it's.
But also,
Yeah.
sometimes you have to sacrifice yourself.
And sometimes you have to pay to give other people happy lives. Because in the final credits, by the way, we see Mikasa. She lives and has children and continues on. And then we see her die, and she gets buried next to Eren, which I think is kind of weird because she had a husband and kids in the. If you watch the thing, she has she brings kids at one point, so she has
Yeah,
kids.
who's she having kids with?
Well,
She
some
hooking
people.
up with Jean afterwards?
I think
or
she
what?
married John, right?
I thought
Oh,
so
John,
too.
yeah.
What?
I thought it was John.
That's
But
weird.
John liked her, I think,
I'm-
most of the time.
He's
but
Yeah.
also
who
probably
cares?
the closest person to Aaron. At
Yeah,
the beginning.
he's also okay being second
He's
best.
also
I would
somebody
assume.
who
Oh.
understands everything that she's been through.
Yeah.
More than most people.
You know, honorable mention John though. Like that dude's
He's
dope.
John.
he's like
He had a
the
good
he's
Connie.
the husband of.
Wasn't he a
He's
bully
like
in
when
the beginning?
Rose lost Jack, right?
Yeah,
she
that's true.
married a dude,
Yeah, just a
but she
dude.
still wanted to, in the end, be with Jack when she died.
That's right.
It's just like that.
Yeah, and the scarf is the same as the Cor de la Mire, the
Yeah.
heart necklace that she throws into the ocean. I know the
Yeah.
name of it.
What are we talking about?
I'm impressed. I was talking about
I
Titanic.
just
Oh,
heard
okay.
some Titanic music. The
Sorry,
other day.
I said Rose and Jack and just assumed there was only
Yeah, there's only one Rose. You're
and one
correct.
Jack.
No, you were
I
correct.
didn't hear
in that
Rose.
sentence.
I just heard Jack, so I got
Oh.
really confused.
But anyway, that's my only gripe with the end of the series.
Well, let me say this. I think that now all the fighting that was done, people get to actually have peace and live a life. And Armin and Zeke actually tell us the whole point of living, despite the fact that there's this fucking horrible cycle of violence, and despite the fact that the author Isayama, I just looked him up, Isayama, despite the fact that I think he firmly believes that it's human nature to, like, this cycle of violence, I think he thinks it's inevitable. He talks about growing up on a farm in one interview and how, like, he would watch animals, like, eat each other, and he would watch animals get slaughtered so that they could be eaten. And he said that was always on his mind when he was writing Attack on Titan. So I think he firmly believes, like, this is just part of life, is this cycle. But the conversation that Armin and Zeke have is, like, he picks something up and it turns into a leaf, and he remembers running together with Mikasa and Eren. And Zeke picks it up and it turns into a baseball. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Armin tells him, like, that this is what everything's about, is like these moments of peace where we get to have fun and just have hobbies and, like, do stuff with each other. That's what we're supposed to try to get is, you know, we might fight for this period, but then hopefully we can have a period of peace where we get to do all these things. And that's really all that life is moments of peace where we fill it with you know, joy and love and stuff, and then it's going to get back to violence at some point, but we try to make those moments of peace a little longer if we can. you
Yeah,
know?
this is exactly
And
I
then-
love
Gundam.
that.
Zeke
You know-
looks at like the landscape and he's like, "Wow, I can't believe I've never noticed how beautiful it is." Like right before he
Exactly.
dies.
Yeah.
He's been so focused on so much else, he's not even taking time to smell the roses.
It was really well done. That was one of my favorite scenes, and that's like a consistent thing about Armin throughout the series.
Yeah, let's
Is
talk
he
about
was
Armin.
always the kid that wanted to see beyond. Like his curiosity had no bounds. He believed in the beautiful things out there. Everybody else is just focused on, like staying within the walls
Yeah.
because otherwise it's dangerous. Then as the series progresses, right, you get that moment. Like I said, they finally get to the sea, and Armin is so happy, but still, Eren is just focused on like,
Yeah.
who
gotta
do we have to
keep
kill
going,
actually?
yeah.
Yeah. And then that scene with Zeke, right, where it's like these are the little moments that actually it's not just about you live so that you can reproduce and then die and you suffer all the while. Like you live because of that, whatever it is that thing is for you.
Yeah.
And that really summarizes Armin to me.
Well,
We'll be right back to this episode of Your Favorite Character Sucks after a brief message from today's sponsor, Titan Tony. Ciao. It's a Titan Tony here to let you know that at Titan Tony's Italian Eldian restaurant here on Paradis Island, you'll find all kinds of a cuisine you never had before. We have pastas, we have meat, and for a limited time, we are offering our Eren Jaeger Genocide Plate. If you can eat 80% of the Eren Jaeger Genocide Plate, the other 20% is free. And that's a Titan Tony guarantee. And all of it is cooked up fresh by our Italian Marleyan Eldian prisoner of war, Niccolo. Titan Tony's Italian Eldian restaurant is the perfect place to bring a date. Bring your lady or man along, order some of that special Beast Titan spine wine, and it won't be long before you're plugging Walmaria, if you know what I mean. Drinking a Beast Titan spine wine may cause unintended side effects, especially when in proximity to a Beast Titan screen. Titan Tony's Italian Eldian restaurant. When you're here, you eat family.
Some other things about Armin too. He's not just like, I think he starts off, you know, everybody's first impression of him was very like weak and wimpy because his two best friends are like the strong ones, the fighters.
Yeah.
But he, I think, has some really amazing growth. And we'll probably talk about this to me and Matt, who's arguing for Erwin, about the decision about who gets the Colossal Titan.
I'm ready. As soon as you
And-
finish
they-
telling us
yeah.
good
They
stuff,
made
I'm
a
gonna talk
mistake.
about it.
They made a mistake.
Yeah. I disagree. Fully disagree on that, and I'll explain why.
I'm
But
sorry.
Armin shows his cunning. That's his strength, and he builds on that more and more and more. He has moments where like.
Oh yeah.
There was a point at which they went from killing titans to killing people, and Armin was one
Like
of the
any good
first
zombie
of
series.
the kids. Yeah, one of the first to do it.
Yeah, when
despite
John couldn't pull the trigger, he pulled it.
yeah, he did that. And even before that, he used some pretty harsh manipulation tactics to get things going.
is-
I remember him like telling Bertold like
They're
trying
torturing
to
trying to
Annie.
manipulate him. Yeah, they're torturing Annie.
He goes like
all this
stone
shit,
face.
yeah.
Which
His
is
like eyes get
crazy.
wide.
Which is crazy
Yeah.
because it goes from like the first time where Eren gets eaten, like at the beginning of the
Mm-hmm.
show, and we think like, oh, Eren's just like gone now. But
Mm-hmm.
he can't move. He's petrified. Like, and then he
Yeah.
goes from that to what he became.
Yeah.
Which is dope.
Exactly. But I do want to talk about that decision between Armin and Erwin and why I think
Okay.
it was
Well,
a really
let's-
good decision
Why
for
don't we
Armin,
give?
but I don't,
Let's give.
not yet.
No, well, let's give Matt a chance to talk about Erwin a little bit, and then let's get to that
Yeah.
decision with everyone. Yeah.
I mean, I also
Yeah.
I agree. It was the right decision to pick
Okay.
Armin over Erwin, right?
Mhm,
And it was because, and like I think it was Captain. It's been a while since I've seen these episodes.
well, hold on.
like
Let's
4
get back to that
years.
decision in a second. But first, tell us why Erwin is great. Before that,
Oh, so I will say, obviously, up until he died, he's the best character in the show. It's tough to pick him out of the whole show as the best character
'Cause he gets
wasn't
eliminated,
in
like-
it for
Yeah.
He dies halfway through the show. Yeah.
end of
yeah,
season
halfway
2.
through. But while he was in there, like, there's
season
no
3?
denying he was making the coolest decisions, and a lot of it was based on chance. You know, he was willing to risk. I mean, he was willing to risk humanity as they knew it.
Yeah, that's
just
the problem.
Just to see.
No,
I
I
mean,
like
it was
that a
very
lot.
selfish. It was very.
I liked
You
it
like
too.
that,
I
Matt?
love Erwin.
But-
I do
and
love
also,
Erwin, but he was throwing
He
bodies.
was always willing to lead the charge, though. He wasn't just
Oh,
ordering people
100.
around.
He was in there first, bro. He's getting his arm ripped off, still
And not
telling
hesita-
everybody
yeah,
keep
not
fucking
hesitating.
going.
He said he got his arm bit
Yeah.
off, and he goes, "I'm not your objective. Don't
Yeah.
waste time on someone
Yeah.
replaceable.
Yeah.
Go get Eren."
Charge
He-
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene was fucking dope.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
and then after that, almost the entire core is decimated. His arm is missing,
Yeah.
and he smiles and says, "We're one step closer to the truth."
Yeah, yeah. And that's what he cared about. So I'm trying to remember.
I don't
this,
know if
right?
that's
when
good
he
or
was-
not.
No, it's good. He's got a good.
No,
he's got a good
it's
gambler's
cool.
mindset, dude.
It's cool.
He, to me, Erwin, and then like Levi, his top people. It's like he's willing to lead the charge, but he forgets everybody he's leading.
Yeah.
Like is like level 1, and he and Levi and his buddies are like level
Yo,
100.
Hanji,
That's the issue.
Hanji's a genius. This is another thing, though. Okay, so look.
Oh yeah, Hanji.
He did it all
honorable
for.
mention
He did
for sure.
100. Yeah, like I was gonna pick her too. Like it was between those
We'll,
3.
we'll
out
get
of
her an
those
honorable
left.
for sure.
But
I got her
listen.
an honorables.
So Erwin, right? Everything he did was for selfish reason, but.
Yes.
No, it was always, no matter what, it still also always helped out humanity and like to figure out everything that was going on and like figure out what the Titans are and how to defeat them, right? So yes, it was selfish, but it also was like moving forward. He put the best people in places where they needed to be to succeed eventually. So not only he did that, he got Aaron into the scout regiment in court. Remember, they like were in that court, and he set up that whole plan where Levi jumped down there and beat the shit out of him to show them. But again, was risking like everybody
Yeah.
there just to get there. And yeah, it was for selfish reasons, but again, I think it was like the benefited
Well,
everybody.
Well, what was it for? I think
He just wanted to know the truth.
actually, I think similar to Aaron, I think he has almost like a revenge motivation because
Yes.
His
he
dad,
gets
right?
he gets his dad killed by being
Yes.
curious about the truth.
Yeah.
And so he has like an unhealthy obsession with like trying to undo what he did maybe by discovering the truth.
So his
But yeah.
plans were always at the risk of a lot of people dying, obviously, but it was like huge leaps forward. Like catching the female Titan at first. Like it was a huge risk, but he was able to do it. Obviously, they didn't know the extent of what she got away, but like that was a big part.
Yeah.
But the whole female Titan thing, though, if you remember correctly, who kind of spurned that and gave him the intelligence to begin with, based
Yeah,
off of
Erwin.
his
Or,
correct deductions. Yeah, Armin.
Armin, yeah.
I think they worked really well together. I would have loved to just have them both
Oh, for
till the
sure.
very end. But I think, like John said, that fixation that Erwin had, a lot of
Yeah.
characters in this series have those fixations that
Yeah.
wind up getting people killed or putting people at risk. Mikasa's fixation with Eren has gotten Levi's leg all messed up for like an entire season.
Yeah.
Armin's fixation on like seeing the world and seeing beyond just felt like the most pure of them, I guess, like the one that was
I agree.
least rooted in potentially like
Hey, at the beginning of this, I said my favorite character was
Yeah.
Armin. All right.
Yeah.
I know. Hey, I gotta argue.
I gotta argue for Erwin, you know.
I know that's fair, and
Well-
Erwin's one of my favorites too.
Look, I think
yeah.
I think Erwin also has one
I
of
don't
the,
think they can both exist
Can I
Yeah.
Can I
in
pitch
past that point. I don't think
Can
they
I
can
pitch
both.
that
Yeah.
do it.
Erwin has one of the coolest, most badass fucking moments in the entire series? In that
Yeah.
same episode where he gets his arm bit off, or not, maybe not episode, it's like a few episodes where they're trying to get Eren back.
Yeah.
Also, I think this series, and Matt, maybe you can, because you just watched the whole thing recently, but I think one thing that this series does so good is they have a goal and nothing ever goes perfectly, and I love that because
Yeah.
it sets you up for like this chess match, and I think that
that was
Isayama
when-
he does such a good job of like navigating the chess match. Yeah, like so many things. There's so many variables to every fight, to every conflict, and it goes back and forth so many times. Like you think that the fight's over, and it isn't, and it never feels cheap. It always feels like, oh, that's really cool that it kept going. But when like the armored titan starts fucking, they can't catch up to him. They can't stop him. They can't slow him down because he's covering his neck. He's covering the nape of his neck. But then what does Erwin do? He fucking comes out of nowhere with a pack of titans running
Oh, yeah.
behind him.
Yes,
Yeah.
that scene is
And
so dope.
he charges in, and the titans swarm right at. And you'd think like, oh, okay, titans are swarming right at, like that's fine. But then everyone's watching, and he goes, "Stop sitting around staring! Everyone charge in now!" And it's like a
Yeah.
fucking mess of titans.
Yeah.
And he literally he tells everyone to just go into the mess. It's so crazy, dude.
Yeah, it's
Every
awesome.
goal, he's going all in, regardless of the
Yes,
sacrifice.
and he's
Yeah,
always leading
true.
the
I gotta
charge,
respect
like you
it.
said, bro. It's dope as hell.
It's
He has
so
a lot of
crazy.
those moments. I also really enjoy those moments in like the court when he saves Aaron's life
Mhm.
and brings him to the scout regiment. But I also really like when he was a big part of when he got arrested
Mhm.
and led that coup.
Oh,
He
yeah.
lied to the king, or he lied to
Yeah.
like the main counselor,
Yeah.
whatever they're called, and was like,
Again-
"Hey, Titans just broke through the wall," which he needed
Yes,
Pixis's
yes.
help, and he needed
Again, a chess
what's
match
that
that-
weirdo guy's name?
I hated that guy. I
That
fucking
took
hated that
over.
guy.
Weird dude.
But you know what? Again, I think it's all about like militarism and like military abuse and stuff like that. I think that guy was supposed to be like, this is a gross dude on our side, and y'all should not like this guy. Like,
Yeah, which,
and this is typical. I think is what.
but
we
anyway,
personally-
so yeah, like that was badass too, dude.
you
and
know what
that
Matt's
was-
talking about? The guy who like
Is
has like a
it
torture device.
Badass
Yeah.
to have
Yeah,
the
all
military
the poop-
take
the poop
over
machine?
all of the
yeah.
government.
Yeah, poop
You
machine.
know what I'm
Is
saying?
it what, Matt?
I don't even think that's like
It was the coup to out the king for being fake.
Yeah,
But I'm just saying, in general, as a rule, when the military takes over the government, that's like a bad thing normally. You know.
Generally pretty bad.
Turns out it was bad.
I don't
In a
think this.
little bit.
I don't think that this hurts Erwin being argued for one of the best characters, because I think this actually adds layers to his character. I think that Erwin does represent the like Japanese people who, like, Erwin literally says we're being lied to and held back not for our own sake, but so that the rich can hold on to what they have. I think he's like representing the like Japanese like MAGA people who want the government to get overthrown and want to be military. I'm not joking. I think that he a little bit does like make the argument that those Japanese militarists make today, which is like the government wants us to be passive and like we should kick them out and like reinstate our military and stuff like that. So
Well, you have to take huge chances.
Yeah,
And, like,
but is he
if
I don't think
it
that
goes
makes him a bad
south or it
character, though.
could-
He's not even
it
taking
could be
huge
good.
chances, dude. The only people
Yeah,
who
what
die
do you
are like
mean?
you don't even.
Dude, he got his arm. Like, he was in the front of those charges every time.
listen to what he tells Commander Pixis. He says, "Peace between men will never be certain, not until our numbers fall to 1 or less. We can't have peace
Damn.
ever. There's no
Yeah.
way to be peaceful."
Which he wasn't
the
wrong,
message
right?
of the
Like,
show.
that was the whole ending of...
Well, according to Aaron, it's 20%. So
All right, so
Yeah.
so
But
he and
everybody
Armin,
was on
he
the
and
line.
Armin are lying dead. Who should have been revived? Now we can have the discussion. Let's do it.
Okay.
I mean, it
yeah.
should have been Armin. Right?
It should have been Armin, and it was, and all was right.
well, it
in the
had to
end.
be
He's
Armin
the one that will save the
because
world.
by the time I
Aaron
watched
knew
the
what was
show,
gonna happen.
Armin was still alive, so I knew it had to be him. So that's
Oh.
another problem with
there
me
would've-
watching
okay,
it so
there you
late
go.
is I already know who's gonna live, so there's a lot less tension and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
I also,
That's true.
this does relate to the decision, but when we talk about Erwin always like leading the charge and being willing to be like at the front lines, he did still in the end have to be convinced by Levi to like just go ahead and die, like go ahead and risk
Oh,
it.
yeah.
You think
I'll,
Levi?
I'll do what I
He
need to
didn't want
do.
to, but he was like, I will.
Levi had to convince Erwin to. Sorry, did I not?
You
say
think
that?
Levi
My bad.
convinced Erwin?
Yeah, Levi did tell
told him.
Erwin like, go ahead and die. I got this.
He said,
like,
yeah, because Levi was the only one
Yeah.
who was going to take down the Beast Titan in that situation.
Yeah.
And
But
and Erwin was uncertain until that conversation. Armin thought to himself and didn't tell anybody, I'm going to sacrifice myself so that they can take out. And he knew it would be a suicide
think
mission.
that was
and
also
he was
to
gonna
show
lead the rest
that,
of them
like,
into it.
Despite all of his insane courage and leadership skills in private, he still is human and has doubts.
Yeah. Well,
Which
and
I
you
thought
know,
was a
too-
great humanizing scene.
Yeah.
It is, but it's also why I think Armin had to be the one and should have been the one
Well, and-
because
And so
Yeah.
when they're both laying there on the roof, right?
Uh-huh.
And that guy is yelling at everybody, trying to
Yes.
save.
that guy.
There's
yeah,
a
I don't.
guy,
I mean,
I can't
nobody
remember his
remembers this
name.
kid's name, bro.
Oh, was it Flock?
Yeah, Flock.
Okay,
yeah.
I guess
Oh,
somebody
fuck
does remember
that guy.
guy's
Can we
name.
get an honorable mention for biggest shithead?
Flock.
Is that
No,
the-
nobody likes
Yeah, I don't
Flock.
really like that character.
It's all. Is it a bowl cut guy? I think he had a bowl cut.
I like
Yeah,
I like it
bowl cut
because he
guy.
comes in.
That was him.
I like it because he comes in as like a no name, and then he's like, "Fuck all of you main characters. Y'all are pieces of shit.
Yeah,
Y'all,
no,
y'all
I
get
do
us
like
killed
that.
left and right." I
do
like that.
He was-
Yeah, I guess it's just whatever he becomes in the next season.
Yeah,
that I'm
that's
just like,
lame.
fuck
Yeah,
that
that's
guy.
lame.
He
But
was
I guess
the
that part
voice
was fine.
behind like the people who are just getting sacrificed, like the pawns. and
Yes,
the-
I
and
love
the-
that.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, he was like, really?
So-
This is really what we're doing?
He's the only one left alive from the Beast Titans like onslaught of rocks in that charge, and he finds obviously Erwin's body and brings it back. He's
Yes.
still breathing.
And then
And
he's like, "I
sitting
did
there
all
like,
this
no,
shit."
we need to bring him back because he needs to get in
Well-
trouble for the shit he just did. Like,
And he also
I want him
You
to
think
be
that's why?
punished. No, I don't
He also-
think that's what he says.
he also tells Armin.
I didn't remember that.
He also episodes later tells Armin like, "You should have fucking died. Your friends are selfish.
Yeah, he
Y'all are all
does.
pieces of shit."
Yes.
And Armin's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Yeah, you're right."
You know, ultimately it was up to Levi to pick. You know, Mikasa pulls Aaron away. They pull fucking Flock's bitch ass away. And
But
and it's up to Levi to pick. And when Levi talks about it later, he's like, I chose for him to die because
Yes.
he had already lived through hell. He already sent too many people to their deaths.
Yeah.
He's done with this world.
Yes.
And this
he
world
is
is done with him.
Levi does reach down to Erwin, and Erwin's hand like reflexively like pops up and slaps him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Erwin kind of sent a little bit of a sign too that I'm done, I'm good.
Basically
Yes.
saying, yeah, I'm done. Like I don't
Yeah.
But
need
also,
to be alive anymore.
Yeah, I'd make the same
Horrible
decision,
He-
honestly.
Well, he So I saw this one YouTuber who does like analysis or whatever, and he brought up a good point, which is, being done with the world or the world being done with you. Erwin's whole goal was to figure out what was in that basement.
You 100%.
And
Just
and
to
Armin's,
have the knowledge
and Armin's
of what
goal
was
was to see what was beyond the ocean. And so Armin still had so much more ahead of him and more to discover and find out. And Erwin was at the end of what he was going to do.
Yeah.
Really. Like he that's, and so I think Levi made the
Yeah.
decision, which is kind of sad too, because he doesn't get to see what's in the basement. He
No,
never gets
it
Well, I'm
sucks.
glad he did it
It
because it
does
was
suck.
fucking disappointing and very
But
sad
also-
and very irrelevant to the whole
Whoa,
plot.
it's not disappointing.
It's not disappointing to
cool.
find out
No,
that,
that was
you
like the
are the
biggest
enemy.
reveal.
bro.
No, it wasn't even that. It doesn't make a difference though.
You are
if
the
you
enemy.
remove that whole part, it doesn't matter.
No, it did because
matters.
they didn't even know they
They
were an
didn't know that they were
isolated
the Titans.
island that was just like the trash pit for what happens
I
when
don't
you're
think
a
that
bad
changes
little
anything, though.
Eldian.
But they didn't know that every Titan was them.
But the knowledge doesn't change
Yeah.
anything.
It does because
It does.
because it's the whole point of the cycle of violence, which is you kill your enemy, but then you discover eventually that you and your enemy are the same. You're going and killing people who are like speaking a different language and a different culture, but like soldiers who live long enough in these foreign countries come to realize like we're all like these people all want the same things that we want back home. They're just a different language and a different place. Like so the idea is like it's mirroring the cycle of violence.
Sure.
We hate these Titans. These Titans are monsters. We make them look like monsters. We dehumanize other people so that we can kill them and feel comfortable killing them. But then we find out they're just like us. And now, do we still feel comfortable killing them?
And the answer was yes. They did still feel comfortable
Well,
killing them.
part of my argument for Eren is that we are supposed to like him in the beginning, and we're supposed to feel the injustice of his mom getting killed, and we want him to get his revenge. And in the beginning, he literally says he wants to kill all Titans. But then he finds out he is a Titan, and when you find out that you are the enemy, that changes things a little bit. But then when he finds out that all Titans are people, that also changes things. Eventually, he sees like a Titan doing something, and he calls it a patriot. The people who you first think are your enemy, eventually, if you keep going through the cycle of violence long enough, might be considered a patriot by you. You know, so it's like I really love that Eren goes through this whole process to kind of show us as viewers, like it's all arbitrary. The side that you're on now might not be the side you're on 10 years from now, and the people you think are monsters now, you might be on their side in the future. Like,
But isn't that sort of
and,
a weird stance to take when in the end he just becomes anime Hitler? Because then he just
I
is
think-
kind of the bad guy, right? He just becomes a universal bad guy, like Hitler. So, you know what I'm saying? So it's weird to take that stance.
we get to see him.
Well-
We get to see him go through all that process and become.
That kind of brings me to my character. You see someone who has to play both sides basically and go through
Yeah.
that struggle, but instead of he starts unbeknownst to us, but he starts as an opponent and then goes through hell in secret as, you know, like you're saying, John, you learn about your enemy.
Well,
And he starts to
yeah.
care for these people, and
Yeah.
it literally fractures his mind into two personalities.
Bran, Rhaina and Eren are the same character from just different worlds.
Yes.
Yeah.
And even
Yes.
in the end, when they're trying to stop Eren, Reiner is the one that points out Eren hates what he's doing and he wants to die. I understand.
And Rhaina
this.
understands that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he understands.
Yeah.
And so
Oh,
so
he does,
going
yeah.
into this, I also was like, okay, I got to pick someone, but Armin's my favorite, so I'm probably going to select him in the end. But then reviewing Reiner's story, I'm like, I think he actually has the most compelling character arc.
Yeah.
I think he by far goes through the most shit, and we don't learn about most of it until the end. But
Yeah. Wait,
His-
this is your second Nazi youth character, by the way.
It is.
wait, who's my other
Do you know
one?
what his other one was?
I don't remember, but I definitely agree that he's a...
Draco Malfoy.
Oh,
Draco
yeah,
Malfoy is his
Draco's
other Nazi
definitely
youth
a
character.
True.
God damn it,
I-
Brand.
I guess I just have a soft spot in my heart for them. I don't know why.
Because
but
they're
it's
brainwashed.
because
They're
yeah,
children.
exactly. That's what I was
Isn't
gonna
it
say.
also your
Yeah.
second like PTSD character?
Probably there's a lot of those.
Oh, every character in this is
Oh,
PTSD.
okay, yeah, that's
because
very
I got like Scar and Magneto who went through
true.
Yeah. I have
genocide to get
PTSD after
revenge.
watching this fucking
But-
anime.
So even so before even Eren and Armin and Mikasa go through all the shit of the attack on the wall, Reiner's being freaking brainwashed and indoctrinated, filled with self-hatred because of
Yes.
his mixed parentage, And he
Yes.
feels like the only way he can amount to something in life is to become one of these Titan warriors and kill these monsters.
But also was kind of like a little bitch. Like he barely got in there. It was only when somebody else didn't make it,
You're
right?
saying that
Yeah,
the
his
qualities
friend-
that
his
make
friend
a
hooked-
traditional warrior are not the things that make you a good person
Exactly.
or a quality candidate
He,
for, I don't know, one of these things.
I think he started off being
That's a
a
very
pretty
good
good
point.
person and just mentally feeling like he needed to do this. And it was his friends that were more warrior-like, and one of them helped him, sort of get that position. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
it was that inherent, maybe kindness isn't the right word, but he did have a sort of caring that the others didn't, and that's what caused him to be filled with so much conflict. So yeah, he started this this mission thinking he was a righteous warrior going to fight
Exactly.
what they're told are monsters, and then
So did Eren.
yeah, and he becomes one of them and then regrets everything he does. He's still, like every character in the show, is very focused on the task.
Yes.
And he does, like most of the characters, carry out a lot of basically war crimes.
Yes.
So that's my problem with the whole
But
show,
but
though.
but they're war crimes from the perspective of the victims.
No.
Well, I guess no. I guess war crimes are war crimes.
So,
war crimes are war crimes.
war crimes
But
are
that's
war
true.
crimes.
But I'm
War
saying
crimes
yeah.
are in
But-
fact war
But
crimes.
people convince themselves that what they're doing is for the greater good.
But
when they're
yeah,
doing
when
it
you're
against
told
evil
from
people.
when you're 8 years old and you're
Yeah.
told that you
Yeah.
have to go across the sea and kill monsters,
yeah.
you don't really know any better. But he does.
But he does learn, and he still commits the war crimes, though. That's the problem.
Which is like also like the opposite of
Yeah.
Zeke, right?
But that's my problem with the whole fucking premise of the anime is, I don't think you can actually hold Eren accountable for any of the shit. Well, war crimes are war crimes, but if somebody comes over and just fucking starts murdering all your people, can you really?
Yeah, you don't have to genocide the whole world.
Why
though.
not?
Because it's not
See,
the whole world.
no,
is
that-
happening.
Well, all the kids on the other side
Oh,
too
God.
were like
No, but-
fighting for honor for their family to be like considered.
Like,
think it's a
Eren doesn't
reasonable
just wanna
response, dude.
kill. He doesn't just destroy Marley. It is the whole world, which that's kind of absurd
Yeah.
to me. It
What
goes
about- what about
it goes
those
beyond
poor-
revenge at that point.
It's-
What about
Yeah.
those poor Arabic kids who
oh yeah,
he
you
goes
just
to?
see them getting
And
massacred
the
Oh, that
first
was
time he
so
meets them, he cries because he's
sad.
like, "I'm so sorry."
because he knows he's gonna.
Oh,
fuck
because
he
him.
knows he's
And-
gonna
Yeah,
be
he
crushing them.
knows.
That's
yeah.
that's something we
Yeah.
need to talk about. Is Aaron's
Yeah, dude, fuck
Yeah.
Aaron.
Aaron
Well, let me get-
seen
Let me
Aaron
get
can
to
see
that.
throughout time.
In
You
just a
remember when
second.
he
wanna
controls his
say-
dad to like?
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me say something about.
Sorry, sorry, bro.
Let me wrap up Reiner real quick.
I also wanted to say one more thing.
There's a
but
lot. There's a lot.
I still just think his overall arc
It's so
is
tragic. Fuck.
is even more compelling than Aaron's after reviewing
Yeah.
it. Like I said, you don't see the progress all at once. It's a lot.
Yeah.
We get a lot of flashbacks at the end. But then today, I read through all of it in chronological order, and yeah, it is very tragic.
Oh, it's so. Fucking
And
tragic.
I
But,
think
yeah,
along
he gets the
with
peace in the end, though.
yes,
Yeah, he does
And
make
I-
it to the peace, which is great.
I think he has one of the biggest
I
oh shit moments in the show, which is when he just says fuck it and reveals that he and Berthold are the Titans.
That was
He's-
sick.
Oh no, that is one of the best surprises.
That
I
shit
think, yeah,
blew
on the
my
show.
mind.
It's fucking mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing.
That was amazing. Can I say that the parallel between Reiner and Eren? I think Eren is an example of like how you radicalize someone, and then Reiner is an example of how you like de-radicalize someone, if that makes sense. So they're like the perfect like parallel
exactly.
to each other.
I agree, and I think that Reiner is also a parallel for another character that maybe y'all haven't thought of before, but he's, in my opinion, a parallel of Mikasa also because, well, and I guess I'll posit this theory too, which is I think that what Isayama is doing is he's showing us like, oh, this character's fighting for this reason, and you might think to yourself like, well, I have other reasons that I fight that are justified. And so what does Isayama do? Every character has something different, a different aspect of something that they might be fighting for, and like basically justifying like violence, right? Like this is how we perpetuate the cycle of violence. It's like I'm fighting for the truth, I'm fighting for this, and Mikasa is fighting for love, right? Like she loves this person and she wants to do right by them and protect them. And so like that, those seem like really honorable reasons to fight for somebody because you want their love or their respect or you want to protect them. And Reiner, part of him is part of Mikasa because one of the reasons he wants to become a hero and go kill the devils of parody is that he wants his fucking father to love him, and it
Yes.
sucks so bad because his father is a piece of shit who when he comes to him and he's like, "Hey Dad, I'm gonna fight, like I'm an honorable Marleyan now."
Yeah,
and
I
his
can
dad is
finally, like,
get the
be
fuck
with
out
you.
of here.
Yeah,
that
he's
was
like-
heartbreaking.
My family can never know you exist, or I'll be ruined.
Right. To me, that was
Yeah.
the Isayama basically saying, like, if your reason for violence is to like get the respect of somebody who would be happy for you to do that violence, then that's not a good reason, because their validation should not matter to you because they're terrible people.
Yes.
Man, Reiner's life is so fucking tragic. When that scene with his dad happens, I was like, oh,
That's what
God,
I'm
dude.
saying. And like,
Oh, your life
and then
sucks.
when he finally goes back, Marley, he almost kills himself.
Yeah.
does.
They're just
Oh,
shitting
God,
on
that scene
him
was tough, too.
for failing.
He's so
basically.
overcome with like the grief of what he's done, failure of the mission.
He challenges his family though.
Still
when they're-
feeling. Oh yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Because his mom is also a piece of shit.
Well, his mom is brainwashed or whatever too.
Yeah, but she's like the one that instills like, oh, we're inferior and we need your father's approval to be anything in this world.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It's horrible.
Fighting for the approval of your oppressors.
But he does
Disgusting.
choose to keep on living because he wants to protect the younger generation so that they don't end up
Yeah.
like him, I think.
That's the only reason he keeps living. That's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
I do enjoy that arc of him coming home and then being. Everybody was like, "Oh, there are monsters over there. This is that." And they're like, "Yeah, there was this chick that just was always hungry all the time." And I was just
Yeah,
like,
they're all looking
he
at him
really-
like, "What the fuck are you
yeah,
talking
like,
about?"
none of that is horrible.
Yeah, like
because they're not bad people.
he like tells Gabby like the experiences with human beings that he's had, and sort of challenges that mindset a little bit so they don't go down the same path.
Gabby is wild.
Gabby
Hate that
is like
character.
what Aaron could have been if he wasn't radicalized.
Fucking hate that
Well,
kid, dude.
Gabby
You hate Gabby?
is
Matt, tell us-
wild.
That character,
Yes,
that
Gabby
character
killed
is such a
Sasha.
fucking piece
Bro.
of shit, dude.
Gabby killed Sasha.
What a fucking
Best
loser.
sniper in the fucking world.
Yeah,
Gabby
but
got
she
the
was like
best
on the path
headshot,
to
bro.
becoming their Aaron.
No, she got multiple headshots.
And not
but
only
when
that,
she shot Aaron's head off.
She also is
though.
like the poster
she
child
killed
in the
Sasha.
last seasons for still frame screaming child, which I just cannot fucking stand that shit.
No, I don't really care
No.
for Gabby.
That
truly.
shit
I don't.
sucks. She fucking sucks.
But
she
she
killed
was
Sasha,
their
which was
Aaron.
so fucking lame.
Yeah, one of the legit saddest
No,
moments of the
no,
show
no,
is
no.
Sasha died for no
Dude,
fucking
I was like, this
reason,
is
bro.
Okay.
fucked. I can't believe this character
That's-
dies
that's
like
war,
that,
baby.
bro.
I'm gonna get
Yeah,
back
but-
to Sasha's death on an honorable mention because
Bro,
I have
honorable
a,
fucking mention.
I have an
Sasha
honorable
out there
mention, no.
fighting titans with bows and
No.
arrows, bro.
Sasha is not my honorable mention, but I'll get back to that in a second. Okay, here I got two more bullets in the chamber for Aaron of why I think he's the best character.
You're
so,
lost, bro. Just give up.
So yes, I think he takes us from a place of we're on his side to then making us very uncomfortable following him, and I love that because I think that's
I
the
disagree,
whole point
dude.
of this anime. I think the point of the anime is to try to reveal to us this cycle of violence and how we fall to it, and I think Aaron falls to it, and I think that we're supposed to learn from that. And I think that people who don't like the ending, a lot of them are uncomfortable with the choice that Aaron made, and they don't want him to make those choices, or maybe they did and they don't like that it didn't turn out the right way. But I think that they're learning in the end, like, if you were down with what Aaron did, it's not going to turn out the way you hope it is. You're going to get, like, 100 years of peace, and then there's going to be more conflict again. So do you really think it was worth the genocide? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm borderline an Aaron
Um,
apologist. I still think he basically did nothing wrong.
Well, okay. So here's who Aaron is from a literary stance, because there's two characters that Aaron is. He is Paul Atreides from Dune, and he's also Dr. Manhattan.
Not
He's
quite
Dr.
like Paul
Manhattan as
Atreides.
well.
Well,
He's Paul Atreides
I
from
was
Dune.
actually
Atreides
going to
is
say,
like
John.
transplanted into a different culture.
Well, no, but Paul Atreides can see the past, present, and future all at once. And I don't want to spoil Dune for you guys, but Paul Atreides makes some decisions about what should be done that are, yeah. And so you follow Paul Atreides, and then at a certain point you get uncomfortable following Paul Atreides. And they also, both of those characters, Paul and Aaron, they learn that, like, well, they can see the future, but also they learn that the future is inevitable, which is another message of Isayama, like, violence is inevitable. It's going to happen, but it's like you get to choose how you deal with it and whether you engage with it or not, and you also get periods of peace in between, and what do you do with that peace? That's what matters, right? So
I'm a huge fan of
there's a big-
determinism, so you know.
But also
That's it. Yeah.
as we've learned from the hit show That's So Raven,
You can't change the
when
future.
Exactly.
when you see the future, you often end up causing that future.
Yes.
That's so Raven.
Yes.
It is so Raven.
Exactly. And then Dr. Manhattan also is the same kind of way where he can see past, present, and future all at once. And he like knows that something is coming, but he's like, I can't do anything about it. It's going to happen. And, a genocide's going to occur, but, what can I do?
But actually, what I was thinking, another Watchmen parallel, I think his plan is similar to Ozymandias' plan.
Exactly.
Yeah, unite
He's,
the
he's
people.
Ozymandias combined with
Yeah.
Dr. Manhattan.
Cause-
Guys,
yeah.
we
Cause
can't be
mass-
comparing this to Watchmen, or this podcast will fail. Bro.
We can compare it to Watchmen because guess what?
That's your
Ozymandias'
least
plan.
popular podcast, dude.
Ozymandias' plan for genocide is also a fucking band-aid, just like
Yes,
Aaron's plan
it's
for
very
genocide is.
similar. It's very similar.
Yes. And then the last thing I'll say about Aaron. Shit, what was I gonna say about Aaron?
Well, 'cause I mentioned my oh shit moment.
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Go ahead.
Aaron's oh shit moment, talking to his dad in the past, dude.
Yeah, that's
No.
crazy.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
No,
as fuck.
crazy,
no, no, no,
bro.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
When Zeke,
Forcing
When
him
Zeke's
to
talking
kill
to
the
his
royal
dad in
family.
the past.
no, when Zeke takes him to the past, like Aaron, I'm gonna be the fucking ghost of Christmas past for you, and then he finds out, oh no, you're the
Aaron
ghost
is
of
the
Christmas
ghost,
past.
yeah.
I'm in your fucking.
That was-
I've just been incepted.
Yeah.
That was a cool
pretty sick.
spin, for sure.
That moment,
I,
they're in his dad's office, and Aaron's like, "I think we're done with this scene," and he opens the door and walks out, and Zeke
He's
is
like, "Wait, what are you
"What the
talking about,
fuck?" Zeke is like, "Wait, what?"
Nah, you're my
I-
bitch.
smaller but still a really good twist was when Aaron at the very end is talking to Armin about how he's the one that drew the Titan to his own mother.
Yes.
Because otherwise Bert
Right.
would have been taken out way too soon
Yeah.
and he needed him
Yes.
for everything else to play out the way it did. That screwed me up.
That was nuts. So like he made the Titan kill his mom so that he can become who he needed to become, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So he,
he
could begin
sent
to become
himself down that
radicalized
dark
enough.
path.
Yeah.
And then
Well-
also before that, he's the one that made his dad kill the royal family.
And then made his.
His
I mean,
dad was
by
like
doing
crying
that,
in regret and was like, "Are you happy,
Yeah.
Aaron?"
Yeah, and then Aaron was like,
Insane.
"No, come over here so I can fucking eat you too."
Yeah.
bitch."
Well,
But Aaron only
Here's-
became that person
right.
because
Go
of
ahead,
the
Matt.
events that happened to send himself back.
Well,
Yes.
yes, it
'Cause
was
it's
adult
Ooh,
Aaron.
what came first?
Well, it all
It
happened
was adult Aaron.
simultaneously, I think is the point, right?
So he is Dr. Manhattan.
Yes, exactly.
All right, folks, you've made it halfway through our epic Attack on Titan episode. In part 2, segment A of this episode, you're going to hear our honorable mentions, and then you're going to hear a healthy debate about whether or not Eren Yeager's genocide was his best move. Finally, we'll make our selection for the best character in all of Attack on Titan. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest.
There are a lot of good honorable mentions in the show. I think.
Let's do honorable mentions then.
So many, dude.
You start us off, Bran.
Well, we already mentioned Hanji.
Love Hanji.
But we haven't spent any time really talking about her though.
Yeah.
So what can we say about
Well,
Hanji?
oh,
What makes her
Angela, was it you that told me that Hanji was like a non-binary character?
Yeah, Hanji's non-binary. Confirmed.
By who?
Hanji's a they them.
She's not made of
Yeah.
ones and zeros. is what
The
he said.
author?
They don't call her a she in the fucking show?
They do not.
Yeah, I
I
just
know she doesn't
assumed.
have binary vision by the end of it.
Jesus Christ.
I mean,
She
they
has
just
that
call
one
Well,
eye.
she is
Hanji.
two-eyed.
Wait, what? Because of the glasses.
See, now you're making me second
One-eyed
guess. Now I don't know
glasses.
if they ever use those pronouns, but
Um,
they were confirmed to be non-binary, which is pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Very,
I don't think it really
She's
changes
She's like the
I
most
love that, yeah.
scientific
I mean,
character.
very fun character.
Yes.
First of all, like
Fun.
yeah,
Always
like
happy.
their
She's
absurdity.
like playing around with Titans and
Yeah,
shit.
their
Obsessed with
absurdity gives you
science,
a
yeah.
little bit of like humor and stuff, which is nice. And they're
I have here at the beginning, somebody tells her like, "Why do you fuck around with Titans?" And she says, "We can't move forward with only fear and hate." And she basically
Yeah,
says
it's
like,
about
basically, you
understanding.
need to have knowledge.
They
You
did
have
it.
to have
Yeah.
They did
understanding.
move ahead with only fear and hate.
they're like
They literally did it.
No,
That was the whole
it was
show.
a quest for knowledge.
Well, not successfully though.
No, it was a quest for knowledge, Matt.
yeah,
Erwin was looking
they're
for
like
for
primarily a scientist more than a soldier.
That's true.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Just trying to learn about the Titans. So I think that
And she's like Erwin too. She says we should risk everything to know the truth.
You know what was not cool? or I thought was kind of fucking stupid. The whole Ackerman thing.
What about like how they're not affected by the?
Yeah, both that and how like
by the
there was
commands or
no
whatever.
point in having that whole thing about Mikasa being from like a line of like royalty
which
and
was
shit like
basically,
that.
which was like a Japanese insert too.
Yeah, exactly the full Japanese insert. I'm like, what was the point of all this
Yeah.
shit?
It was
So they're just
random.
genetically
It was
better.
random.
That's what makes them
Yes.
like better people, is
Yes.
because they're Japanese.
Well, for Mikasa.
No, Ackermans are not. Mikasa is
Well,
Japanese and also
Yeah, it's the
Ackerman.
Ackermans that are
Mikasa-
insane fighters.
Yes, but also, I would say, and maybe I'm wrong about this. Again, maybe the manga is supposed to tell me I'm also wrong about this, but Mikasa and Levi both fight for things that most people would consider noble things to fight for, which is like to love and protect the people you care about. Levi says multiple times that the only reason he's doing this is to take care of his friends and the people who look out for him. He wants to protect them. He wants to save them, which is insane and sucks because, and I think this is the point, is that
All his
Isayama's
friends
trying
die?
to show you. No, well, not only do all his friends die, but a lot of his friends die directly because of his choices and actions. Like, he literally lets Erwin die. And I think later on he has to make a choice that makes somebody die too.
I don't think he really lets
And so-
Erwin die, but I mean,
Well, he
He
chooses.
gives him permission
chooses.
to die.
He doesn't
But
save
that's
him.
big. That's big because that's, I mean, I think Levi is to Erwin what Mikasa is to Eren, as far as like that superpowered person protecting somebody that they care about.
Yeah.
I think there's like a OVA.
yeah, it's super weird how strong those two characters are in relation to every other character, every other non-Titan
Because
character.
that Ackerman
Yeah,
gene,
they're just
they're-
genetically
they're
better, I
clean.
guess.
they have
you
like
know?
Le-
they have like an activating event
Just
where they're
having
like,
like
must
fucking.
protect.
If you got like Viking genes in you, you're gonna be like a
But
beast,
listen,
bro.
But it was like
Levi-
a supernatural also connection
Yeah.
to like the royal blood.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I didn't like
There's
that.
some
I
weird like
didn't like
eugenic
that.
shit
was
going
un-
on there. I didn't
It
like
was
it.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
But listen,
So was
Yeah.
that
So
was that
weird.
a lie when Aaron was telling them like the only reason you're doing this is because of
partially.
your blood?
That I think he was trying to push
or
them
was
away.
he lying?
I think
yeah,
he
or
was
was
trying to push
He
them
was trying to push them away.
Okay.
But-
Yeah.
Well, because it's like love in the end that ends up
Yeah.
ending everything, right? Like,
And I do think the headache thing, from what I could gather, was because she was like at a crossroads and having to like go against everything that she knew and cared about
yeah.
for the greater good, and that was like, because of the nature of that bond, that was extremely painful for her. I would assume.
If you really love something, decapitate.
You got to cut its head off
Yeah.
and kiss
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel
but,
that.
But
Yeah,
but
that
Levi,
was-
like I said, Levi's whole goal is to fight for others, for the people who sacrificed before him. He says to one person, he says, "Your sacrifice has helped us make strides. We'll do more tomorrow because of you, and I will carry on your strength." And then he also is very unhappy to hear that that he's been killing humans. When he finds out that the Titans are humans, a lot of other people don't really still make the connection quite yet, like that they've been killing humans, but he does, and it makes him uncomfortable. Let me see.
Well, not that
who
uncomfortable,
else.
'cause he
Yeah,
keeps slaughtering
he's
them.
killed more than any of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, he doesn't like killing his people, but
Also, you know, I hate these like cool type characters, dude. They're just kind of like.
I'm proud
yeah,
of
they're
us.
just kinda lame.
I'm proud of us for not having Levi or Mikasa as our
yes,
picks.
I
honestly,
bet you there's a lot of edgelords who would love, and I guess not edgelords, just like badass.
Yeah, they're
you
just
know,
like
they
the,
would
you know,
love-
they're
they're
the cool type.
They're cool, but they're not.
But
they're
can I
not
give an
by any
argument
means the
for
best.
the argument for Levi being kind of tight-lipped and quiet, and that not being like just a cool thing?
He makes
But
the
you
hard
know what?
decisions.
I guess
Oh, from
I guess
his
all cool
upbringing and
people
shit?
have a backstory.
Yeah, that's pretty
He
rough.
was very sick and like probably did not speak in his early childhood because his mom was a dying prostitute. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
Do you
just-
think that's why he was so
Starved in her
short?
room.
Just because he was like malnutrition.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
completely stunted,
malnourished.
dude. That sucks.
I guess it didn't hurt him though, because he, you know.
But the way he just shreds Titans through that show is so
pretty
fun to
unreal.
watch.
Yeah, I don't understand. He's like, I don't know. He's like the main Spider-Man. He's like Spider-Man.
Well, him
Prime,
and
dude.
Mikasa do it, but yeah, like
That's
it's
why they had to
insane.
nerf him in season 2, because
Oh, yes.
otherwise
Yeah, they
shit would have
just
been solved.
They
too
nerf
quick.
him, and he's still fucking people up in the end. Like
Well,
no eye, no half a body,
Broken leg,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah,
Angela brought up oh shit moments, and I keep bringing up like badass moments. And one of the most badass moments is when Zeke turns the whole camp of people that are watching him into Titans,
Oh my god.
and then he leaves Levi in the dust, and then literally
Levi
you
kills
get a scene
all of
of
them.
Zeke You get hold on. You get a scene of Zeke like moving through the forest, and in his mind, he's thinking about his next steps. And then out of the corner of his eye, fucking Levi comes and he's like, "Motherfucker, you better not be thinking about the future." And he bursts out and he kills the Titans that are carrying Zeke.
So sick, dude.
Then when Zeke transforms into a Beast Titan, he continues by dropping tree limbs down on him to confuse him. And then comes down and he goes, "Do you really think I wouldn't kill my friends when I've had to kill so many before?"
Yeah.
And he fucking slices them up. Then he puts that motherfucker on a cart with a thunder spear tied to his gut and like wire around his neck.
Levi's fucking dope, bro.
That was
That's
insane,
also probably
dude.
a war crime,
like
but whatever.
coolest character I have. You have.
Yeah,
he's
he is the
probably
coolest. He is the coolest.
Well, not only that, like when the female Titan takes Eren the first time, like he has to like come in. The reason his leg is jacked up is because Mikasa like is like trying to rush in too much, and he's like, "No, hold up."
Yeah.
bro."
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
like, has to save
yeah.
her,
But-
but like was fucking up the female Titan
But
too.
again, I think he's symbolic of the irony of fighting for your friends. Because time and time again, he has to make choices to get his friends killed. And then in the end, he even tells Mikasa, he says, "We know what we need to do," referencing the fact like we have to kill our friend Eren.
Kill Eren.
Yeah, and so like
yeah.
I think he is supposed to be like, look, if you're killing to protect your friends or to do what you think your friends want you to do, that's also not a good reason to perpetuate violence. There's no just reason to go out and perpetuate violence. you
Dude,
know?
the thing is, I don't know.
You gotta be like
I'm just
Jesus.
an Eren apologist. I think that's my problem. I think it's really hard to like have all that shit happen to you and be powerless, and
Do
then
you-
suddenly have the power to change things for what you think is good, and then
Right.
not do anything about
Do
it.
you also are you also an Eren apologist when it comes to him like screaming, crying, throwing up at the idea that Mikasa's going to find somebody else one day?
Oh no, that's
That-
that's
when
just-
Armin
that
tells
is
him
a
that.
loser for that shit.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. Is like that's the real Eren. That's the
Anytime
That is
any
the real
character is in
Eren.
a still frame and screaming, I suddenly hate that character with all of my body, dude. That shit sucks.
Love it.
so
He
bad.
lost his ever loving
Yeah, that
shit,
guy's a
and Armin's
fucking
like,
loser.
Jesus.
Yeah, during that
Also-
and he's like, just don't tell her that.
Didn't it seem like Eren and Armin were gonna kiss in that scene?
I
little
wish it
bit.
would
Yeah,
have.
but isn't that kind of like? I mean, you're always gonna be like, yeah, I hope you find somebody if I ever pass away. Dude, I don't know. Deep down inside, you're kind of like, man, I hope that I'm the only person.
Not me.
that
I'll be
really
fucking
is, like,
dead,
she
bro.
feels the most about. You know what I mean?
Let me, Kruger.
I don't know. That made me sound a little crazy. Maybe I don't think that. Maybe I don't think that way.
Aaron Kruger says anyone can become a god or a devil. We just have to have other people believe it. And then I have here that I got chills when he says you've got to save Mikasa and Armin. He already
Yes,
said
that
But
was
my heart
insane.
stopped. I
Nuts,
was
dude.
Yeah,
that
I
it
was
blew my
like,
mind.
what the fuck does that mean?
yeah.
Another badass scene with Zeke, since we brought
Yeah.
him up, is when Marley's invading another country and they just like drop Titan paratroopers.
Yes.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy.
Oh, just bombing people with pure titans.
They drop a
Yes.
bunch of like
Insane.
Eldians and he transforms them mid-air.
Yeah, and you can
form
tell these
Titan
Eldians have
bombs.
just been like locked in a cell for
Oh,
years
yeah,
because
it's-
of the way
it's
they're
horrifying.
just staring off. Like they know their fate. Like they
Yeah.
just stare and are
They're
just
ju-
like tied to themselves, right? Their arms are just like locked in.
They're
like,
used as
jackets.
weapons, not as human
It's-
beings.
It's insane, dude.
That's what I'm saying. If someone does all that shit to your people, man, fuck it, dude. Just kill
No,
everybody.
but that's what I'm saying. I would have been sympathetic with him just destroying
He
Marley.
just killed the Marleyans.
But the rest
yeah.
of the world, which isn't involved in the conflict at all,
Well, they would be. That was his point. Is they
Well, but the rest of the world also hates Eldians.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Like,
also
they're
hate
universally
Marlians
hated.
too, apparently,
Well,
because Marlians have been such a strong military force for so long.
he's proving the fear right that they are horrible
I
monsters.
think the idea was to
Yeah.
unite the world to a common enemy and have the Eldians
saviors,
led by
yeah.
like Armin and all of them
Right.
be the saviors so that they, so that way they're not seen as devils but heroes.
I understand, but I feel like it's in the same way that I hate like Thanos and his plan. I think it's a very like simplistic plan.
I agree
Yeah,
with you.
and it never works out.
And
I think the motives are way more understandable with Eren than with Thanos.
and I think here's the thing. I don't think Eren was also doing it to ensure like peace on Earth forever and
wanted peace
always.
for
I
his
think he was
friends.
doing it so that
It
for
was
his
more
friends and his friends
selfish.
aren't going to live forever.
Yeah, it is a little selfish.
Yeah, you're
was
wiping
just- it
out
was really just for
80% of
his
the
friends.
world for like 5 people.
Yeah,
fuck
so
'em,
that
dude.
they can be happy for a little bit.
So he he doesn't even care about like his race and culture. It's like I just care about my
his
squad.
besties.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Hey
work
man,
my
that's
way.
all that matters. Honorable mentions. I got 4 right here.
Oh,
Preacher
God.
Nick.
God.
Preacher Nick.
Preacher Nick,
Preacher
who gets
Nick.
killed in jail, right? Like he gets killed like
He gets
Yeah.
tortured
like
and murdered.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah.
Jesus.
You got.
He
Oh,
knows too much. He knows too much.
you got the Reeves family,
God
and
damn
I'm
it.
being serious now.
Okay.
You want to talk about best arcs, bro?
There was some
Reeves
redemption
family
arc there.
at the beginning of this is like
They're assholes,
clogging up the hallway for people to run away, and like they're the worst people in the world, right?
because they only
Just
care
to
about
save
money,
a few
you know?
cows and like, hey, but then like they end up being a huge part of being
Well-
able to take over the government and things
And
like
this
that.
is my point is that time and time again we're shown characters that like end up stopping violence or bringing people together by using love and kindness, and instead of sacrificing by like doing like killing and stuff, they sacrifice things like resources, right? And there's so many characters that I think get good moments of showing kindness and love. Like the most honorable character in the entire series is Sasha's dad. Sasha's dad
Random
Okay.
hunter.
is
Yeah.
he's a horse raiser and hunter in the woods. And in the same episode where Aaron's mom tells him that he needs to show restraint, in that like very first, I think it's like a flashback, he says that to Sasha, he says, you have to learn restraint. Like, we don't need to lash out at people the first time they offend us or just because they hurt us. We need to take a second and think about what we're doing before we do it. Sasha's dad says that. He also says the government, let me see, he says the government is willing to pay them to leave their land and give up hunting and train horses. Sasha says, why should we turn our backs on hunting just because of a bunch of people who look down on us and call us savages? And he says, we're human. It's all fine, and it's good to march at the beat of your own drum. But when land is scarce, we have to stick with the herd. We have to work together to do what's good for the greater good. When Sasha gets killed and they find out
Yeah.
that Gabby's the one who
yeah,
does
dude.
it, he's the first one to
He
step up and
protects
say,
her.
he gets the knife and he stops everything. And he says, even though you killed my daughter, like, I sent Sasha out of the forest where the rule of kill or be killed is followed, but she just found a bigger forest where the rules were the same. She went off and shot at people, and then she got shot at. We shouldn't let these children wander through the same forest. If we don't stop it, it'll just keep on going. And he says, I'll answer for them. And he says, I'll answer for the adults like us. And so he stops the violence right there. Like, I
Well,
love
good thing
Sasha's
he lets
dad and my
Gabby
point.
live so she can continue to shoot people throughout the series.
Well, but I think
Sniping from like 20
you can't control
feet
what
away.
happens to the people that you're kind to. I'm a teacher. I do my best. I don't know what these kids are going to
Yeah.
grow up to be, but I have to be as positive and kind as I can. And let's see, in the hopes that there'll be something good one day,
No, this actually hit pretty hard for me.
Sasha's dad,
Like,
honorable
when
mention.
when I was watching that whole part where he was protecting Gabby and the family.
Yes,
was
I
and all
love
that.
it.
It was crazy because I thought about like our uncle and like how Mimi handled that whole situation.
Yes, yes.
And
Our,
that shit
our
just
uncle,
hit
our uncle was
home
killed
hard,
by
bro.
a logger. He was like trying to protect the redwood forest in California from being logged. A company had gotten like a permit to log it or whatever, and so he and a bunch of other people were in the forest keeping it from being logged. And I guess they had annoyed this one logger enough that he finally was like, "I'm just gonna cut the tree down. Y'all better move." And he cut the tree down, and it landed on our uncle and killed him. And but then what's amazing about that is that company lost their license, and that forest ended up getting protected. But the logger came to our grandmother and apologized to her. And I mean, I don't know, Matt, if you had more to say about that
I mean,
story,
she
but
forgave him basically.
she basically forgave him and was like, I don't know. what
It's
she said
not
to him,
your
but-
fault. It's the people who
Yeah,
taught you that was okay to do. Like
Yeah.
put that whole culture in y'all's workplace. Like
basically,
yeah, if
it's-
everybody could have that mindset, that
Exactly.
could have
but
prevented
you know how
all of these
fucking
events.
insane
exactly
that is
stopping
to
the
go up to
perpetuation of violence. Yes.
to go to the person who killed your kid and look them in the
Yeah.
eyes and be
Yeah.
like, it's okay.
All right. So
I-
is Sasha's
it's
dad the
just
best
nuts.
character or what?
You kind of swayed me. I'm
I
not
do
gonna
love me a
lie.
good old blue collar
What's his
boy.
name, dude? We don't even
Yeah,
know
I don't know his name. So Sasha's dad.
Sasha's
is that
dad,
his
yeah.
profile?
Yeah.
And then fuck yeah.
Oh God.
His lesson went largely unignored as they continue to slaughter people for the rest of the series.
Yeah, it is rough. I
I-
feel like the reason I don't like the ending is because it's like I watch anime to like for happy ending and
Yes.
like, but that's also the reason I really got into the show in the beginning was because of how different it was than every other anime.
Oh no, dude. It reads like every Gundam anime.
Yeah, Matt.
Or
So
manga.
at the beginning of this, you said you were unimpressed with the characters. Have we not just argued that there was so much depth in all these characters and that they're rich and stuff? What do you
I
think?
don't know. Like I mean, I am a huge.
Have we swayed you?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
I just,
give a shit.
well, I have the problems with, like I said, I have no problem with
Gabby?
Aaron. I have no problem with the genocide stuff, really. I like understand. I don't think it's good, but I understand why he does, and I think it's defendable.
Of course. I don't know about defendable, but
It's
yeah.
well, it's definitely defendable. If you had to kill people that were trying to kill your family, would you do it?
Well, and that is another criticism of this anime is that people think
Yes.
it does perpetuate militarism despite its message in the
I'm
end.
even
They still
talking
feel
like
that it
on a
does.
small scale, because I mean that's how it initially starts. Is like, okay, well, someone's killing my family, I want to kill them, type thing. I mean, you'd kill people to
I don't
defend
know.
your family.
But I think we get enough messages from enough good characters that that's not what we should be doing.
We should be forgiving people that kill our family. I don't think so. Fuck them.
I think
Well, I think the message is from characters that don't have families, really, that are saying that. The people who do have families are the ones who are like, yeah, we're going to kill them first.
I think it's
Yeah.
okay to, turn, be the bigger person, turn the cheek, but I also think it's very defensible to commit genocide whenever someone comes and kills your family
Can
and
we
threatens
just
to
clip
kill all your
that?
people.
Yeah. But you're
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you're
I
just wanna
saying,
clip
Matt,
defensible to
you're
commit
saying kill
genocide.
the people killing your family. So okay, go target like Marlene leadership.
Yeah,
But
I have
the
no problem
problem-
like that.
the problem
Don't
with
don't
all of
destroy
this,
the world.
But what if
Once
your
again-
80%
options
of it.
are only unleash a weapon of such power that you can't control it, or be so ineffectual and small that you can't do anything at all?
But I
But
think
again-
But the-
his
He could
80%
control
was
it.
well calculated.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
If you yeah, because he made the rest of the world population equal to Parody's population.
Yeah.
No, Aaron sucks, okay?
Okay, but listen.
Aaron is the worst character in the show.
No, he's not. He's a
No
bad
matter what.
person. He's not a bad
No,
character.
I don't even really think he's that bad of a person, to be
Aaron,
honest.
worst character, Gabby, second worst character.
I'll tell you.
Gabby's
this.
100% the worst person.
Well, I did want to say something else about Hanji, who she has a moment too of like this idea we're talking about perpetuating violence. Like, is it wrong or right for any reason to commit an act of violence? To find the truth, to get revenge, for love, for whatever. She tortures this guy who is a torturer, and he tells her, he says, it's your turn now. And he says there's an order to these things. Perhaps it's a law of human nature. When one's time is over, another must take the role that they used to play, and thus the world can never be cleansed. And so basically, if someone kills your family member and then you kill their family, you're ensuring that the world is never going to be cleansed, because guess what? Someone else is going to want to get revenge on you now, and it's just going to keep on going and going and going. If you keep fulfilling the role of the people before you, you're never going to cleanse the world.
Unless you
so-
do.
But then Hanji doesn't pass
I
on.
cleanse them, ethnic cleansing.
Hanji doesn't keep that cycle going because they sacrifice themselves to save their friends, which is a really dope scene.
Oh yeah, Hanji does do that.
Yeah,
That's pretty
Hanji, yeah, that was insane.
What if I told you
Um,
that Aaron's actually more noble for killing everybody, because then it's not really genocide, It'd be like an ethnic cleansing if he was only picking the Marleyans, but he just chooses to kill everybody.
cool.
So I think that's
he's an
actually,
equal opportunity.
I think that's way more
killer.
fair, yeah.
See, I once again feel like that's the Thanos argument, where people are like, "It's fair because it's random."
Well, no, it's not
Yeah.
random. He's
Death
calculating
is never
it.
fair.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't fair for them to come and kill all his people.
But
I'm
that's
just
not
saying,
even-
if you had to pick
that's not
between
even
your
what was
guys
happening.
and the other guys, then you would pick your guys, right?
Well,
Let's put it. Would you let your whole family get wiped out to save five families that hate you, or would you just kill the five people the five families that hate you? If you had the power to do it,
I think the point is it doesn't change anything,
Sure it
right?
does.
Like that's the
That is
thing.
the point.
sure it does.
It
You're
won't
alive.
actually. It also won't actually make you feel better.
it wasn't just self-defense, it was revenge, because when Reiner captures Aaron, or is trying, when he reveals himself, he's like, if you come with us, we'll leave right now because we just need your power. And Aaron refuses. So if it was just like, oh, I want to save my people, Aaron could have handed
Right.
himself
No, you
over
can't
right
do that
then.
though, because you can't trust. So you're gonna trust the people that came and are coming trying to genocide you? Like, oh, just surrender yourself, surrender your nukes, and we'll let all your people live.
But they
Fuck
weren't
no.
trying to genocide them. They wanted the founding Titan. That's it.
They wanted the founding Titan. Why though? Because they wanted the military control of the Rumbling. They wanted to use that as a weapon, as a threat against the rest of the world. It's not like they were doing it because they were trying to be nice about it. They were trying to get a bigger weapon. They were trying to take the nukes away from...
They did not, at that point, know that Eren had the founder, just by the way. They did not know that. They didn't know that until he, like, screamed and then...
was able to control Titans.
Yeah. And then there were...
Why would they take Eren just to leave then? Yeah. Then
because he had the attack
Because they knew he had a Titan. Yeah, they knew he had a Titan. They wanted to get more.
They wanted all
because...
of the 9 or whatever.
So they would have just come... That's my point, though. They would have just come back for the Founding Titan anyway, so it wouldn't have stopped with him. You think they're just going to stop just because of that? Fuck no, that's not how that works.
Not that Eren knew that,
But it doesn't
though.
matter.
Eren
He doesn't
didn't
have
have
to know
a founder.
that. That's just not how it works, dude. That's like saying...
I'm just saying, he
because
wouldn't
we
have
have...
he wouldn't have made the deduction.
Well, okay, so if... You know, let's say you're the United States, right?
We are.
And you go to fucking like China or whatever, right? And you say, hey, why don't you surrender all your military power to us and we'll promise to leave you guys alone? What the fuck do you think China's going to say to that?
Right, but neither one of them are major political
But they
powers.
are, though.
They're just kids.
But no, because they're the weapons, though. That's the difference. They have the power
Not
to make
Eren.
the difference. Once you have the power
Not
of the Titan
Eren,
in
though.
that era of technology...
Eren at that point knows very little.
But you have the potential. That's the point. You are the Titan. And at that point in technology, the Titans, these 9 Titans, are major weapons. That's the whole reason why they went over the island to get them.
But Eren doesn't know about all of the Titan shit yet. So they're just saying, hey, we want you and your power to come home with us, and we'll leave your city.
But would you trust that, though?
No, he didn't trust
Yeah,
it.
I wouldn't trust that shit. That
He
sounds
didn't
like some
trust it for a
bullshit to me.
Getting to the message of the whole point of all this, though, is that
None of it ever mattered.
everyone is the Marleyans and everyone is the Eldians at some point,
Yeah.
and it just keeps on going back and forth. We've got Israel doing the same shit to Palestine that happened to them in World War II, and characters like Annie say like good is just what people call you when you can help them. Like everything is situational, and then I think the final message of the series again can be summed up in another scene where Armin and Connie and John and all of them, they're all sailing back to Parody, even though Parody is owned by the Jaegerists.
Oh yeah,
for peace talks,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And one of them says we're sailing directly into hell. They're probably going to kill us. And Armin says we have to do it. We have to explain to them why people who used to want to kill each other now want peace. And I think that's the whole point of the whole series is like eventually you're not going to want to kill these people that you've been trying to kill this whole time. So why don't we just cut to the chase? Let's stop doing the killing initially and let's just learn to, to do more.
I'm just saying, I think you could easily justify the genocide.
I feel like
we know that's what you're saying.
I think you can justify the genocide, and I think that this manga is arguing like if you try to do that, you are making the wrong choice because.
But if you don't try to
Yeah.
do that, you're also making the wrong. You're just going to be the victim instead.
A lot of shit went down in a violent way, but the fact that Armin has that outlook at the end,
Yes.
it makes sense when you consider how it was
Damn, she
talking.
threw her character
It
in
was
again.
talking that it was talking that got the Beast Titan to be like, all right,
Right.
I'll get myself killed so that Eren can't control
Right,
shit
and
anymore.
Armin is willing to risk his life to try to convince people to stop fighting.
Yeah.
Whereas other people are willing to risk their lives to kill.
Right.
But in the end, they do have to fight and also kill Eren.
And also to a point, it's like maybe now we can. Okay, so that's done, right? I think Armin and everybody came away from that understanding why Eren did what he did. Like they don't have to like it, but they understood. I do think that they got
Armin
that.
also killed
and it's at the end.
hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah, Armin killed a
nuclear
lot
bomb
of
the
people.
port.
He committed
also
war crimes.
genocide.
Yeah, that was the use of his Titan. His Titan was not a fighter.
No-
His Titan was a
None
nuke.
of our characters are innocent in any way.
Yeah.
Except
but
Sasha's dad.
Erwin didn't even need a Titan to kill thousands of people.
That's
All right?
Sasha's dad is the only innocent in this whole series.
Yeah.
That is
okay.
true.
But what I'm trying to say is by the end, that's why it's like, okay, that's done. Eren gave us a hard reset, like it or not. That's what happened. So now it's the talking stage. Now we need to figure out how to use our words, everybody. And so that's kind of how it ends. And as you see through like the screenshots at the end, like the still
Yeah.
images. I don't know why I said
We get
screenshots.
peace.
It's still going to be war.
Well,
There's still going to be
but
destruction.
I think we can't disregard the fact that like we get like 100 years of peace.
Yeah, that's
This
still
city
quite
develops
good.
into like a modern city from what, like a medieval one? It
Modern.
develops
That
into-
shit's like futuristic.
Yeah, it's like
That's
a,
what I'm
from
saying.
like a
Yeah.
World War
And-
II to future city.
Yeah.
So-
our
so-
our world hasn't seen such lengths of
They have like
peace
flying
at all.
cars and shit, bro.
So I would argue like 3 to 5 generations get to live peacefully, and I think again
And then
that's
get
the point.
completely destroyed.
Just
And
absolutely
just wiped
Yeah.
out by a
Okay.
nuke, dude.
But I think this goes back to Isayama's upbringing on a farm, which is like he watches these pigs get raised and they feed them and take good care of them, but then in the end they're gonna get slaughtered, and I think that's his perspective. I think he literally believes like you've got this time that you need to cherish, but in the end, we're gonna get back to violence. Like we're gonna get right back
Yeah.
to it. We're gonna eat each other.
Yeah.
All right.
He's not wrong. It takes one thing to set off a lot of things in motion, but yeah, I mean, that hard reset had its use for sure, but for it to be continued peace, I would gather there wasn't any killing involved in continuing that peace.
I have one argument for the most evil character.
Okay.
Aaron?
Who I think it's
Is it Yelena?
I think it's Willie Tiber, Lord Tiber, the Eldian on the other side, who's been living high and mighty
Oh, shit.
because-
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's known the whole time.
because he was an accomplice of the internment of the Eldians on Parody, and he even says to one of the Marleyan generals, "I have a way of solving the Eldian question," which is a direct reference to the Jewish
Yes,
question
absolutely.
used in
That
Nazi
was not
Germany.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's fucking insane,
That was
bro.
not cool.
Also, he says he's concerned about Eldians, but it only extends to the Eldians who are on like mainland Marley. It doesn't extend to the rest of the
that are living
Eldians
among
around the
other
world.
countries and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And his goal, his plan in like the Liberia festival was to leverage Aaron's attack in order to divert hate away
Yeah.
from the Eldians on mainland Parody. So literally, it's like 9/11 is an inside
Yes.
job.
Yes.
Like he's straight up. And I will say that when Aaron bursts out of that one building, I don't think that the steam from Titans can melt those steel beams.
Oh, absolutely not. Fuck no.
I don't think that they can. I think it was definitely an inside job. Willie Tiber definitely placed those beams there to break easily, I think. What was I going to say after that joke? I can't remember.
That's it.
But-
That ends the podcast, bro.
Yeah.
That's where we cut it. We cut it right there.
Oh my God.
Well, we never actually decided who was the best character, so we can't end the podcast yet.
well, I would.
and
So
what
going
you're
back,
saying is there is no good character.
Well, there's a best character. There doesn't have to
no,
be a good
no
character.
one's no one's a good person.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's
there's definitely no good
true.
characters, but there's got to be a best character.
That's true.
But I think that to just focus on our characters here, Aaron and Erwin die for their obsessions, and Armin
Yeah.
and Reiner are alive in the end, picking up the pieces, trying to negotiate for peace. So I
Don't
want
fucking put Erwin in the same. Don't
I'm
say
just
Aaron
saying.
and Erwin together,
I'm just-
bro.
I'm
After
just-
I've been shitting on Aaron for
I'm
45
just saying,
minutes.
who's alive in
What are
the
you doing,
end,
dude?
trying to have peace? Is all I'm
Yo,
saying.
who, is,
Yeah, who didn't die,
knows
sucker?
when they need to take a step back and let the next people take control of the
I-
situation, man?
I think
Who
that
knows when they're wrong and they need
Yeah.
to just let go and let the people who
I guess
can
Aaron knows
carry
that,
forward.
right?
Erwin knows
Yeah,
that.
it was all Aaron's plan, right?
I think
So-
both know that.
like I said, I think each character is supposed to illuminate that whatever we think we're doing to kill is wrong. Each one kind of helps illuminate that in us, and like if you feel like any of the characters feel, you should feel uncomfortable at some point when you realize that they are wrong for what they're doing. And I think that Aaron epitomizes that, because he takes us from the very beginning. Like, who would not want to get revenge on something that killed your parents? Like, of course you would want to get revenge on that. It's so understandable and justifiable. But then we get to watch him transform through everything,
Yeah.
learning that the monsters are not monsters.
and actually kill his own parents.
But also,
And
yeah,
then-
he
and
got
then-
his own
Turns out
mom
he
killed.
was
Yes,
he killed
yes,
his own
because-
parents, both
Yes,
of them. He
it
ate one.
But that's what I'm saying. It shows how you will lose your humanity and descend into what you will do in the end because of this horrible cycle of vengeance. You'll even be the cause of a parent's death when that was the thing that might have catalyzed you to do like a quote unquote just violent action. You know?
Yeah, that's
So I don't know, I
another
think-
reason why I can't defend his actions
Choose
in any
Aaron.
ways, because if he's seen the past and the future,
Yes.
then he should know better. You see the whole cycle.
But you can't
Yes.
change it.
But if we're listening to Isayama, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. And the only thing that you can change is your behavior and your actions.
But even your
And,
behavior and actions don't change the future.
It doesn't change everything, but it can move the needle a little bit. You can at least feel comfortable with yourself in the end, knowing like no matter what I do, things are going to end up bad. So I should at least do something moral and ethical and right by like being kind and being positive and helpful to others rather than, trying to get vengeance or trying to kill or whatever.
That's my argument for Reiner is for like the whole second half of the series, he wants to die.
Yes.
But he ends up just persisting to try to do the right thing and
Yes.
even if it's just a little bit, make up for what he's done.
What he did though was kill an entire district of this population. Like he broke down that first wall.
Oh no,
and
his
he was a part of
initial
breaking down the second
his
wall.
initial
I mean, he's
actions
killed
are
more
horrible.
people than anybody.
He starts where Aaron ends. He's in a way the opposite.
Exactly.
Like the flip.
Because he's radicalized from the beginning of the show, but then he's filled with regret and tries to redeem himself. Whereas
He's
Aaron
on the
is
opposite
on a,
trajectory of Aaron.
In a series, like I
Yeah.
said, in a series where each character is supposed to make us uncomfortable with these beliefs of justifying violence, I think Aaron takes us along the most consistent journey of that, and in the end makes a lot of the fans very uncomfortable with what happens in the end, which is either the genocide, or if you justify the genocide, then you're unhappy with the result, which is 100 years of peace, and then it's going to fall anyway. So that's why I love Aaron. I think he reveals the most.
Yeah, but
people.
to counter that argument, who has the best haircut? Erwin.
I don't even know what his haircut is at the
Speaking of
moment.
haircuts, what a drastic transformation
undercut.
for Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron.
Oh yeah, the
Aaron
long
grows
hair.
his hair long.
I liked his.
Wait a second.
I liked his
The
bun.
first time you
No,
see
the bun
Aaron
is
again
dope.
is he's lost his leg, his arm, and his eye, and his hair is long. So
Dude,
But-
that when he's undercover and he's cutting off his own
Oh
leg,
my
Dude,
that's
was
insane.
That was the most brutal part of the fucking anime.
But again, guys, what's the message? We are harming ourselves to get revenge. Like that's the
Gouge
whole
our own
point.
eyes out. Is that what you're saying?
Confucius said, when you go on a journey of revenge, dig 2 graves. That's the whole point.
For sure.
Yeah.
Sorry for this one last interruption, folks. We are about to pick the best character in all of Attack on Titan, but first, we got to pay the bills. So, today's sponsor, Titan Tony, is here with another message. Ciao. It's a Titan Tony here again to let you know that Titan Tony's Italian Eldian restaurant is not only a place to have a nice night out with your lover. Titan Tony's is also a great place for the family. That's right, kids. Come in, get a nice plate of pasta, or maybe some chicken nuggets shaped like a Titan, and then finish it off with a bowl of you-scream, ice cream. We all are paralyzed in a still rigor mortis face of screaming for gelato. It's not technically ice cream, but it's similar to ice cream. Bring all the kids, even the ones who wander onto your property from the wilderness. They'll be safe at Titan Tony's Italian Eldian restaurant. And that's a Titan Tony guarantee. Scusi. Nicolo, what are you doing with that broken bottle and that child? Put her down now, please. Titan Tony's Italian Eldian restaurant. When you're here, you eat family.
But I don't know if I love the explanation that she loved King Fritz.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I
actually.
hated that.
I
Again,
hate
that's
that
terrible.
shit,
Yeah, that's
dude.
awful.
If it was-
Again, I think it.
If it
I
was
think
love
it's
for her
symbolic.
children,
She could
despite
have came
their
back and
parentage-
yeah, but I feel like they could have did the same thing where she comes like so they hunt her down. King Fritz gets her hunted down, all this shit, and then she comes back and just like wipes them out. It could have started basically the same path though. You know
She's
what I mean?
kind of like a she's got what's the word when you love your captor or whatever.
Stockholm syndrome.
Or just like if she had killed him and like not allowed him to weaponize her power,
Yeah.
take her power.
Like
for
what
his
what
own.
what
Yeah.
about our human nature makes us have Stockholm syndrome? That's what Amir has.
like I get that she didn't rebel and kill him. That's very common amongst like people who are captured and enslaved because you lose your agency. But to say that she loved him and use that as like
Yeah, that's
the
whack as fuck,
justification
bro.
for like why Aaron or why Mikasa needed to kill Aaron, that just felt kind of weird to
That's
me.
fair.
It
No,
just
it's not
felt like
weird, it's fucked up.
it just felt like tacking on a love plot at the very end
This
of this
show
like very
is
serious
fucking
war story.
depressing, dude.
Mm-mm.
This show fucking makes you sad.
Not if
constantly.
you look at it as a chance to learn from and be a better human. I
100%,
don't
but that
think it's
doesn't mean
depressing.
it's not sad. It is.
I mean, even if I
depressing. You
didn't watch
learn
the
to
show,
make
I
it
wasn't
better.
gonna commit genocide though.
Yeah, I don't think any of us
Right?
planned on committing.
Well, yeah. That's the problem. Is the people who actually watch the show probably were never going to make these terrible decisions
No,
anyway.
it's not
Like,
about.
They
It's
actually
about.
already probably.
It's
care.
about revenge, and violence on any level. It's not about genocide.
No, I
Like,
think it's saying that you should diminish your revenge to petty revenges, so that way it doesn't get out of hand.
So do we all? I mean, not we. Do y'all think it's best if the Eldians just do get wiped out from the island, instead of any of this actually happening?
No,
Saves
you're
the
saying if
innocent of the
everyone on
world?
the island dies?
Yeah.
Like if Zeke's plan
No.
had worked or something.
No, Zeke's plan. Zeke's plan was to not kill all the Eldians, but make it to where they can't.
Well, which kills them.
Yeah.
Which kills
right?
them.
I have a gripe.
Which
Which
yeah,
kills them
their
off.
whole
he
life,
kept
yeah.
calling it. He kept calling it the euthanization
Yeah.
plan,
Yeah.
but is that the right word?
Yeah, they're
I thought to
euthanizing them.
euthanize is to
No,
instantly kill. No,
euthanize, it's,
isn't it to like?
Sterilize.
Sterilize.
Yeah,
there you go.
it
That's
should have
the
been
right
sterilized,
word.
right?
Maybe it's a
Sorry, just a
mistranslation.
nitpick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe.
Oh, was
But
he
do
not
we-
gonna kill them? I thought, yeah, because he
He was
kept
gonna
saying
sterilize
euthanize
them.
plan. I thought he was
He was
gonna
gonna
just
ster-
have all Eldians
This is
die.
making them incapable
No,
of
he was going to
reproducing.
make it where they're unable to have babies. Like they're not
Yeah.
going to be
Also,
able
that,
to.
that's also still
procreate.
that's also genocide though.
Yeah, you still kill them off, but you don't
yeah,
murder
but that's
the
not what
people.
euthanizing.
You're doing a whole
If
No,
you
it's
took
not.
an animal in to get euthanized, that's not going to be
Yeah.
like, okay, there you go. You're
The people alive get to
dog
at
can't have
least
babies.
live out their life. So, but do y'all think that would have been better than what had actually happened? But the rest of the world
No.
would have still been at war.
I don't think it would have been better because
I think the point is it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't
none of these
truly any
extreme
outcome would have.
plans-
Can I ask?
Yeah,
I think the point is no matter what your plan is, this is
Yeah,
human nature and it's
yeah,
going to keep
fuck.
on going.
And that's why this fucking
I
show
think fewer
sucks.
people would have initially died,
for
but
sure.
that doesn't mean that there would have been less violence overall
But-
because you can never know what violence will lead to exponentially.
It does show that Zeke did care about the Eldians in a way, not that they should
I-
live on,
I
but
think he
in a
was
way
still-
that he doesn't want them to all get murdered.
I felt like
I
he
think
was
that-
filled with self-hatred of his people.
Yeah, and I think that was a way for
Mm-hmm.
him to make himself feel good about what he was doing. Like, I'm going to let them live one last generation, basically.
But didn't he
like,
get
I'm a good guy.
like? Wasn't he upset that his parents did get taken because of his actions? And then that's when he realized, like, oh, but the only way to end this is to end Eldians, like bloodline, basically.
Well, let
like,
me put it
to
this
keep going.
way. I'll support genocide, but I draw the line at
Okay.
fucking what is it? Eugenics.
Oh, yeah, eugenics.
One is acceptable, the other one is not. Might as well just get it all over.
Yeah, these
with.
are all Nazi ideas, no matter which way you
Yeah, no
slice
matter which way you slice it, we're on one side of Hitler.
Matt Sin is fine with all the world getting crushed, but if you target a specific race, then
Then you're just being
That's
unfair.
not
yeah,
cool.
then that's
Yeah.
going too far.
So best aesthetics, best whatever. what are we doing?
Oh my god. I forgot
I don't
that there
know,
were
yeah.
categories.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
all kind of uniform.
We don't have
Yeah.
to do.
So-
We don't have to do the categories necessarily. I think
Best
we-
haircut, Erwin, we already established.
This might be our longest recording yet.
I gotta say, while I love my choice and he's still my favorite,
picking
and I would
Sasha's
still
dad.
argue to the ends of the earth. No, I actually really liked Brand's arguments for Reiner.
I do.
Oh, yeah,
thi-
Reiner's
like I
great.
said, I when we first said we were doing this podcast, I was like, I'm gonna end up voting for Armin for sure. I just got to pick someone else. But recapping Reiner's story, I'm like, this
Yeah,
is the
you
most
did a really good job.
most compelling like character arc, I think.
You love a tragic Nazi youth story. You
I
love
do.
it.
I really do.
But man,
It's unexpected that he would be one of the ones at the end that was kind of like trying to fight for like
But that's
the best outcome alongside someone like
yeah,
Armin,
so
who
was
is so
fucking
different from
Annie.
him.
So was Annie. She missed 3
Yeah.
seasons, bro. What
Yeah,
are we talking
yeah.
about? Reiner and Annie are the same fucking person. They both
No.
did shitty things at the beginning, and then somehow immediately in this season, we're like, nah, we're gonna fight.
No,
for
it wasn't.
this
It wasn't
now.
immediate
What are we
because
talking about?
Reiner actually went through development while Annie was trapped in like an egg.
And she
Right,
still
and
learned
also-
She got
because she could
lectured
hear
on, like,
because she heard
2
Armin
seasons. Yeah.
the whole time. Look,
Well,
we,
Also,
Annie-
there was a time skip. You can't
Annie
say
didn't
immediate
learn-
when there was actually
also
4
Annie
years.
didn't learn.
that's true. That's
we-
true. And in real life, yeah.
Annie didn't learn. We were just given a mischaracterization of Annie. We
Well,
didn't really
Annie
know
did
Annie that
learn
well.
because she could hear the people outside of her little
Yes, but we didn't really
crystallization.
know
Oh,
Which
she
is
Annie
never
that
wanted
well.
to do any of it.
all we knew.
Annie wanted to go home.
All we knew before she was crystallized was, her dad said, "Come back home to me." And then we learned later on that all the warrior candidates were just trying to come back home to their families so that their families could be honorary Marleyans.
And again, I think the whole point is Annie and Reiner join them and stuff because in the end, everything is bigger than what they thought it was in the beginning, and also everything is always bigger than what we think it is. And so maybe we should, like Sasha's dad says, have restraint. Like Aaron's mom says, have restraint and wait and try to learn about each other and understand each other before we make, actions of revenge and violence. Boom. That's the whole thing.
Do you like the Annie Armin love story?
I don't care for that romance
that was
at all,
weird.
but-
Also, that was
Not
kind
really.
of forced.
There was a lot of last minute couplings that happened.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if it's last minute for Falco and Gabby because they were hinting pretty hard at that from the beginning. But also, who cares,
Yeah, I don't
right?
care about those
But there was just a
characters
lot
at
of random. But I did see a meme where Armin had the most riz out of all of the guys that were confessing their feelings at the end. Because Annie's just "Why'd you do all that?" He's like, "Isn't it obvious?"
Yeah.
But I don't really care about the ship.
This wasn't a show I watched for romance, for sure. But
No, definitely not. I do like that Mikasa kissed a
Decapitated
decapitated
head.
head. That was pretty sick. That was cool.
pretty morbid, but
But
fitting.
other than that, yeah. But my favorite dynamic of the entire show, oddly enough, was between Levi and Erwin. That was my favorite dynamic. Not in necessarily a romantic way, just in a devotion.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's how it felt
like,
too. It wasn't
it felt
romantic
like
at all.
it-
It was just
let me tell
very
you, can I
loyal
just-
and respectful.
y'all will understand this reference because of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, but it felt very Roy and Riza to me, where Levi was Riza and Roy was Erwin. That's the whole vibe that I got, and I loved it.
I think that's true.
yeah.
Yeah, I can
Or
see that.
a good comparison, I think.
I think the two of them plus Hanji were a really sick trio.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
They were the
That's what-
previous generation dream
You
team.
had the
That-
adult
that
trio,
OG
then you had the
crew-
teenage trio.
The OG crew of Scout Regiment was so fucking dope, and then died
yeah.
so quick, bro.
Yes.
On the capture the female Titan mission, they all just got smashed against trees.
God,
Dude, that was brutal. Hey, I also
mention, dude.
one last honorable mention. I really like Hans.
Oh yeah.
He's the drunk lazy guard from the beginning, but then
Yeah.
when
we were
shit
talking
goes
about him yesterday,
when
dude.
shit goes down, he pulls through, man, and sacrifices
Well,
himself.
does
sacrificed
actually
himself.
sacrifice-
when shit goes down, what does he do? He saves the children, the next generation. He doesn't,
Yeah,
he
he's
doesn't
real.
try to fight. He doesn't try to fight.
Yeah.
He saves them.
Yeah.
Saves the next generation of Hitler. But you don't know
All
that
right.
they're going to become Hitler, right? You don't go back
You
in
don't- you
time and
can't-
kill Hitler.
That's
Again,
what
I'm-
John. That's what John's
I'm a
saying.
teacher.
You gotta save them all and hope they don't become Hitler.
You can't go
He
back
said,
in time
"I'm a
and kill
teacher."
Hitler either.
John might have taught the next Hitler.
Oh, I definitely
Doesn't
have.
know, dude. Holy shit.
Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, I can,
So
I can,
fun
I
to
can name a
think
few
about.
kids right now who are strong candidates.
Oh
Name
no,
him.
not on
First
the
and
air.
last name of
Don't
dude.
do it.
I can't
This
do
is
it
gonna
on
be
the
another
podcast.
one that gets pulled off the.
Oh,
Yeah,
list.
you can
literally.
tell us in
Oh,
private.
no, it is literally illegal for me to mention students' names on here. Yeah.
All right, we gotta vote. I gotta wake up for work
I'm
in 4
sorry.
hours. So
Thanks,
Yeah.
Matt. Thank you.
We're at the
Oh,
2.5 hour
shit.
mark.
So here we go. We'll do a countdown. Everyone lock in your minds who you're voting for.
I forgot who we were arguing for.
just pick your favorite character.
We've talked about a lot of characters at this point.
Oh yeah, Reeves.
Yeah. Okay, count us down, John.
3, 2, 1. Reiner.
Armin.
Reiner.
Armin.
I can I put one for Armin and one for Reiner?
Wow, you
I don't wanna-
flipped to Reiner.
Did you flip to
bro?
Reiner?
She fucking flipped.
I always vote for my own character,
it.
so I feel
I
kind
think
of
you should
bad
always
if I
vote for your
continue
own
that.
character.
No, don't feel bad.
That's facts.
I'm
No,
voting
you
for
should
my
feel
own character.
bad. You should
In
feel
your,
bad.
in your heart of
Fuck
heart,
know.
who do you think is the best?
In my heart, I think Armin is the best, but I just
Well,
really
yeah.
liked what Brain
It's
had to
Armin.
say. Okay, I think
I
Armin's
said
the
Reiner.
best.
Okay, and I said Reiner.
I said
So we're
Gabby.
tied.
So
You said
Nice.
Gabby.
Yeah,
Matt, fuck you.
dude.
What you mean?
I
You gotta
shoulda
break the
went
tie, you
Gabby,
loser.
dude.
wait, there's a tie?
Well,
Reiner
there
and
is.
Armin.
There's two Armins
Who
and
picked
two
Armin?
Reiners. Because me and
Oh,
Matt.
you guys are useless.
Oh, God.
To
Come
be
on
fair,
now.
she said Reiner first. Now I don't know how to feel about this. This is so
Well-
scuffed.
Sure, y'all did
Okay,
convince her to
I
change her
thought-
vote, but it's cool.
If I had to pick one of the two, I would 100% not pick Armin.
Okay, it's
Let me
Reiner,
tell you why I
then.
picked Reiner. Because I do love that Aaron makes you travel with him and then makes you uncomfortable, and I think that is the point of the series. But I think that Reiner makes you uncomfortable and then makes you travel with him. So I think he does kind of the same thing, and then ultimately he does what's right in the end, and he comes to regret his actions, while Aaron just doubles down. And so I think Reiner kind of does the same, has the same purpose, but maybe does it in a more succinct way and maybe a more maybe more interesting way. So
Like
say
we've
Reiner.
said,
Yeah.
he's like the mirror of Aaron.
Yeah.
Reiner has
A
the
bit.
growth of like his, I guess his like alignment changing,
Yes.
right? And Armin has the growth of like he starts off very like weak and becomes
That's rough, man.
their mental powerhouse. He's the brains behind the operation.
I honestly probably would have picked any of the other 3 characters over Reiner.
Okay. Well, we're not going to sway you, but Matt Sin, can you
That's
break the tie
crazy.
or what?
He already did. He said Reiner.
Oh, he said Reiner?
That's
He
not
said
what I
he wouldn't
said.
pick
But
He said
Armin.
not
Is what he
Armin.
said.
He
okay,
actually
not
said
Armin.
Gabby.
I did actually say Gabby.
And she said Reiner first, so like maybe we should just go.
We
with
can
that.
give it to Reiner.
That's just
I mean, I
crazy.
do
We
think
can
that Brand made a
also have
compelling
a tie
argument.
between
Angie, that's
Armin and
nuts.
Reiner.
If I actually had to
No,
pick, though,
it's
I
Reiner.
would still go with Aaron. But mainly because of
nice.
these,
Thank you.
the symptom of the main character situation where they get more.
Yeah, and so that's the other
Exposure.
thing, Matt, too. I think the reason I switched to like I said,
Well, I feel like Matt's been arguing for Aaron the whole time.
Yeah, Matt's
I-
the
I'm
most pro
for
Aaron,
shit,
actually.
dog.
see, and that makes me uncomfortable. But also,
Is now a bad time to say that I voted for Trump?
oh my God,
I'm just
time.
joking. Obviously, that's. That's
I also
good.
want to
Oh,
remind
oh my
everyone
God.
that this
He
recording
just had to pull this episode, dude.
this recording started with Matt loading a gun. So
Oh my god, I forgot.
also, yeah, Matt went back in time and voted for Hitler too, because Hitler was elected, by the way.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Um,
Okay,
Um,
well, this is never getting aired.
You know
No,
the
it'll
guy
get
that
aired.
stands next to Kim Jong Un? That's also me.
That's also you.
Yeah.
The guy that stands next to Kim Jong Un.
Damn. Yeah. What I said about Reiner is that his is more succinct. His story, which, so I guess that's my point, Matt, is that the main he didn't have as much time as Aaron to take us
Are
on
you
that
talking to me?
journey. No, Matt Sin. So I think I'm taking points away from Aaron a little bit because yes, we did have so much time to go on that journey, and I'm kind of giving Reiner those points because he had less time and he accomplished the same sort of journey goal.
It's
Yeah, like
been
I
rough.
said, you get a lot of his story towards the end when you get the truth
Oh, yeah.
of what's going on.
They pile
but
it
then
on
once
you.
Yeah.
once you get all of that, it's like insane.
Look, I like
tell you-
Reiner
yeah.
a lot, bro, but I can't believe he just won this podcast. Like that's fucking
Well,
nuts. to me.
I do
Also-
I do think that is a disservice to his character that most of it all happens towards the end, and I am a little bit like alongside that the anime style completely changing and to me visually not looking as good at the very end when Reiner got all of his development. I kind
Oh,
I
you
kind of
think
like
the
won't.
Studio
I'm not
Mappa did a
incentivized to
worse
rewatch
job
those.
than,
Also,
But if you're thinking of it that way, like Reiner maybe wins the second. Erwin 100% wins until he dies. Like he is the best character in that show until he dies. And
Is
then
he?
afterwards, I wouldn't
don't-
even
I don't
consider
like how-
Reiner the best character.
I don't like how hellbent he is. I think he sacrifices
Wow,
too much for
so
his goals.
now
I
the
don't think
truth
he
comes
sacrifices
He's a devil.
enough because he doesn't accomplish
He's
his
a
goals.
devil.
I think
he
I think the
dies.
reason I ultimately
goals.
also chose Reiner is because I sympathize with his childhood desire to please a father who is not worth seeking approval from, and then his adult realization that father is a piece of shit and he never should have tried to seek his approval to
God
begin
damn
with.
it, dude. Too real.
Yeah.
Also, yes, I do think
Alright.
that Mappa's animation looks uglier, if nothing else than the fight scenes. The fight scenes looks. I don't want to rewatch any of those fight
Wait,
scenes.
the first
but
seasons or the
seas-
last season?
No,
No, the last season.
I still enjoyed
The
it. but
first
it-
3
it's
seasons have the
definitely
best
different.
fights.
It's jarring
I
how,
didn't
how
hate it,
different
but
they
it's
are.
definitely different.
So
Yes.
we've got the character who starts off as a friend, then we find out he's a villain, then he becomes disgusted with himself and realizes
He wants to be a friend
what-
again. Yeah.
He realizes that he's killed that he's fighting against humans, that he's been lied to and that they were monsters and now they're humans the whole time. And we've also promoted the guy who dreams of a peaceful world and pushes for it, even though violence is inevitable. He still will face violence in order to continue to talk and promote peace. I think those are two good characters.
Oh no,
think
that
so.
didn't even convince me to pick Reiner.
We did it, guys. That's one more episode of Your Favorite Character Sucks, 2 years in the making. Thanks for sticking along with us, and thank you for listening. Will we do another episode? Only time will tell. But until then, you can listen to a backlog of other episodes, a little bit incomplete as we work on getting them back up. And you can follow us on TikTok at YFCSPod, where you'll see clips from some of our favorite episodes and get any announcements if we do decide to record again. Thanks again for listening.